is so much to tell you that I have run out of time. The sight.
Right. Looks like we've got some news today, fellas. Normal programming suspended, so we can discuss this these new developments. Late. Yes, I am late. Sorry, Martin Torres. Hey, Chris. So I woke up this morning to find some new news for Immortal Empires, and yeah, it's exciting stuff. So I'm not gonna play any Warhammer just yet. Maybe we'll play a bit of Warhammer afterwards. But I just wanted to read through this, and we'll check out if there's any other news on the nets. Basically, we've got a blog post about Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires dedicated factions. So it talks about all of the start positions of all of these factions, which is really exciting. Plus, we've got the Skaven start positions map we can check out. And yeah, maybe a couple of other things, maybe some hints about Warriors of Chaos update and stuff like that. They haven't actually released the details of the Warriors of Chaos update yet, but it sort of mentions it in passing in various points. Anyway, so just check out these patch notes. So welcome back to Total Warhammer fans, another installment of the Immortal Empires blog series. This week we're taking a closer look at the changes coming to some of the legendary lords in Warhammer 3, particularly those who previously shared their factions and other lords in Warhammer 1 and 2, but now enjoy a force of their own on the Immortal Empires battlefield. So these are all factions like Volkmar was previously part of the Reichland faction along with Karl Franz, so there's two lords together in the one faction. Now they're going to be separate. Be'lakor never had a faction at all. He was sort of like an unlockable lord that you could get for in the Realm of Chaos campaign. Now he's going to have his own bespoke faction in Immortal Empires. So to kick things off, we introduce one and only Be'lakor, joining a Warhammer lineup as a fully playable legendary lord. So I'm just trying to read through this. Yeah, maybe I should just read it and then I can analyze it afterwards. First of all, first to introduce Total Warhammer 3 as the moody antagonist of the Realm of Chaos campaign. His liberation from the Chaos God's shackles left the legendary lord free to roam the mortal realms alongside the Warriors of Chaos. Oh, okay, so the Realm of Chaos campaign is before Immortal Empires in the timeline. That's cool. I think we already knew that actually, but yeah. As an undivided demon prince, Be'lakor kneels to no specific god. Instead, he leverages the power of all four to become a versatile fighting machine, bestowed with powerful gifts from each. Those of you who have conquered the Realm of Chaos campaign will already know that he's a behemoth in the battlefield. He's particularly unique amongst the Warriors of Chaos legendary lords in that he has access to the widest selection of Chaos demons, allowing him to assemble entire armies of demonic might without the need for petty mortals. So Be'lakor is going to be a Warriors of Chaos legendary lord. So the Warriors of Chaos faction is still going to exist. There were some people wondering whether they were going to rename the Warriors of Chaos to be Chaos Undivided or something like that. So no, Warriors of Chaos faction is still going to exist. It's not going to be called Chaos Undivided, but but in this case, he is going to be aligned with Chaos Undivided. But he's a Warriors of Chaos legendary lord. Also, he has the widest selection of Chaos demons. So that means that Warriors of Chaos are now going to be getting a selection of demons. So currently you can't recruit any demons into the Warriors of Chaos in Warhammer 2. But in Immortal Empires, you are going to be able to recruit demons into the Warriors of Chaos faction. So that's interesting. I was wondering whether they were going to do some sort of split between mortals and immortals, sort of demon and mortal or something like that. But it seems like, yeah, they're going to go with... So the monogod factions, Nurgle, Khorne, etc., have demons, and they also have mortal followers. And it looks like the Warriors of Chaos are going to have their mortal followers and are also going to have demon followers as well. But Be'lakor is going to get more. It doesn't specifically say that he can't get mortals at all, though. So it'd be interesting to know whether he's like demon only, or if he just gets like, cheap demons or what the go is. But yeah, the main thing that really interests me about this, like Be'lakor himself, just personally, like I'm not that interested in playing Be'lakor, but I'm really interested in playing like Sigvald and you know, and Archaon and other mortal Chaos Lords that it would be Chaos Undivided, and interested in what that access to demons is going to be like. But yeah, I'm guessing maybe he'll just get access to every single minor and major, like all of the greater demons and all of the minor demons. But then I'm wondering, like, so what do the other factions get? It'd be kind of like, if you're playing as Archaon, you kind of want to have access to all of the demons as well, don't you? It'd be kind of disappointing if you can't get them all. But I don't know. I would like, I guess if I was playing Archaon, I'd want to have at least the major, like at least the greater and lesser demons, like at least like the Keeper of Secrets and the Demonettes of Slaanesh. So yeah, so I don't know how much more he could have, but yeah, it'd be interesting anyway. Within the campaign, Be'lakor begins in the settlement of the Isle of Wight in Albion. Maybe we should get another, should we get another, the window here. I'll just get this starting positions map up so we can check out the location of things. Right. I don't know if that's the best way to do that. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, so Isle of Wight, I guess, is around here in Albion. I'm not sure exactly which part of the Isle of Wight is. I can't remember now right now. But yeah, there's Albion anyway, so I guess Be'lakor's gonna be somewhere there. You hear that squishy sound in the background? Yeah, that's my Warhammer 3 sounds, I think. You can turn it off. There we go. Yeah, so sorry, yeah, Be'lakor begins in the Isle of Wight and Albion, where he has but one aim to embark on a crusade of destruction. While the rest of his campaign mechanics will be revealed alongside the eagerly anticipated Warriors of Chaos update. There are a couple of key features to look forward to. Where he has but one aim to embark on a crusade of destruction. I feel like that's similar to what they said about Archaon, and Archaon was a Horde faction. So, I don't know. I hope he's not going to be a Horde faction. I don't know. I know there are some people out there that really like Hordes, but I think the majority of people don't like Horde factions and, you know, don't like the sound of anything that sounds like a Horde faction. So, yeah, I'm one of those people. So, I hope that he's not a Horde faction. But, as I said, I don't really care that much because I don't really like demon factions. But, anyway, it's enough about my feelings. But, yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that means that it's a Horde faction, but... That just worried me. Jumped out at me. I was like, oh my god, he's not going to be a Horde, is he? Unholy manifestations. Like the demon factions, Be'lakor has access to 4 powerful unholy manifestations. Each of Be'lakor's abilities is aligned with one of the 4 Chaos gods and can be unlocked by defeating an army aligned with a specific god or through sacrificing souls, a new resource shared by all Warriors of Chaos. Okay, so... Yeah, so the unholy manifestations, we've already seen those. Like all the Chaos factions in Warhammer 3 have the unholy manifestations ability. And each of his abilities is unlocked with one of the 4 Chaos Gods. So instead of having 4 for one god, he's going to have 4 different ones, 1 for each god. And he unlocks them by defeating an army aligned with that specific god or through sacrificing souls. They offer unique and powerful benefits. For example, Zeech aligned manifestation grants the ability to spawn a unique shadow rift in the local province that Be'lakor's forces can use to teleport across the mortal plane. Yeah, interesting. So Be'lakor's forces can teleport across the mortal plane. I wonder if the other Chaos Undivided, because Archaeon's also going to be Chaos Undivided, right? So how much of this stuff is going to apply to Archaeon as well? But yeah, so he's basically, it sounds like he can just make his own rifts, kind of like Warhammer 3, but he can just make his own rifts. So I wonder if it'll be like it pops up with a menu of like rifts all over the whole map, and you can just choose to teleport anywhere you want, or if you'll just like it'll just open up in a certain area, or it'll be random, or what will go on with that. But that's crazy. So yeah, so one of his is that he can open up rifts, but he can't do it at will. Like, yeah, you know, if it's about the same pacing as in Warhammer 3, the manifestations you don't get access to them too often. Dominic says he starts with a settlement, so he won't be a horde. Oh, okay, good. So yeah, so Be'lakor is definitely not a horde, in case anyone was worried about that. Be'lakor has the unholy ability to corrupt those who stand against him. When he defeats a human lord in battle, he can mark them with chaos, slowly corrupting their soul, and eventually converting them into a demon prince to reinforce the ranks of his army. That is crazy. That is really cool. I was really hoping that they would have something like this, like, regardless of whether it's actually fun to use in the game or whether it's a powerful mechanic or whatever. I just really wanted something like that where, you know, human lords and stuff can fall to chaos, and also something representing, like, you know, mortals going to demon princehood and stuff like that. So I'm really happy that they've done something like that. That's really cool. But yeah, it'd be really interesting to see how that actually works, and whether you can see it happening, like, if you're not playing as Be'lakor. It'd be really cool to see, like, if you're playing as the Empire and you see, like, the Elector Count of Hochland, you know, falls to chaos and becomes a demon prince or something. That'd be kind of cool, you know, like, it would sort of create your own little, like version, your own unique little story if you're playing as Empire, and, you know, your allies are all turning to chaos and stuff. Chaos gifts: dedication to the Dark Gods, or remaining undivided, is sacrosanct to the forces of chaos. Through the battlefield exploits, their warriors are bestowed with unholy gifts. By offering defeated souls to the gods, warriors of chaos can unlock powerful but limited rewards, which boost their proficiency in battle or grant demonic reinforcements. Okay, interesting. So yeah, I mean, there's already like a heap of crazy information, like, that's kind of like blowing my mind with the possibilities just from Be'lakor already. So that's pretty crazy. Dedicated factions. If you're the veteran of Immortal Empires, you'll likely know that a few of the iconic legendary lords at your disposal currently share factions and starting positions with other lords. So we're taking the opportunity to give several of them a role of their own. I am reading all the comments. I'm trying to read through the comments, but I'm trying to kind of focus on this rather than kind of responding non-stop to the comments. But I also look forward to Volk Mercy cosplay, Liz. These changes are rad. I agree, they are rad. Can't wait to play. Yeah, Dwarfs up near Chaos Diagonicals. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Volkmar the Grim, the Cult of Sigmar. Embarking on a pilgrimage of zealousness by abandoning the petty squabbles of the Elector Counts in favour of sealing away the abominable books of Nagash, Volkmar now resides in the lower Southlands. Unlike the Tomb Kings and Manfred von Carstein, it's not the books themselves that offer individual effects. Rather, the act of sealing books away that increases his zeal, strengthening the boons and power granted to Volkmar. This is pretty crazy. So there's a lot of information here, but so basically the Tomb Kings currently have this Book of Nagash mechanic, right? And when you get to certain places on the map and defeat certain settlements and stuff, you unlock these books of Nagash that give you these powerful, unique bonuses. I'm not sure if they're different. Like I think that the books of Nagash have different bonuses depending on which, or they're in different locations depending on, like, every time you play the campaign. So you don't necessarily always get them in the same order. But anyway, it's a Tomb Kings mechanic, right? So now the books of Nagash are a Volkmar mechanic as well, apparently. So that's really crazy. So that's really creative and like clever of Creative Assembly to do that, actually, to like reuse a Tomb Kings mechanic for Empire. That's really cool. Like, and have it fit and have it actually work in a way that makes sense. But yeah, so Volkmar's going to basically have the Tomb King mechanics of having the Books of Nagash, except for he's going to get bonuses and rewards for sealing away the Books of Nagash to increase his zeal and power rather than by, unlocking their power and stuff. But the other mind-blowing part about that is, unlike the Tomb Kings and Manfred von Carstein, so a few people had commented that maybe Manfred's new start, like maybe Manfred would be moved and Vlad and Isabella would stay where they are in Sylvania, and that Manfred would start off in the Southlands hunting down the Books of Nagash, or seeking more power and stuff like that. So it looks like that's confirmed that Manfred is most likely going to be in the Southlands, and he's going to be also getting a new Books of Nagash mechanic added to his faction. So that's really cool because it makes it like, I don't know, like currently I never play Manfred. I always play von Carstein because they get the really cool like extra vampire heroes and stuff, and there's nothing really awesome about Manfred's campaign for me, whereas this is going to make Manfred's campaign really unique if I'm interpreting that correctly. And yeah, both Volkmar and Manfred are getting the Tomb King's Book of Nagash mechanic. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Grombrindal, the ancestral throng, known for his hatred of the sadistic Dark Elves following Malekith's instigation of the War of the Beards, Grombrindal has moved to Nagaroth, where he stages his armies to enact revenge upon the Witch King. So Volkmar's going to be down here in the Southlands. Down here. And I should make this bigger. So Volkmar's going to be down here in the Southlands, and Grombrindal is going to be up here somewhere in Nagaroth. I don't know if we know the exact start position has been released yet. But yeah, somewhere in striking distance of Malekith, I guess. So that's going to be cool because Malekith didn't really have that many major enemies up around here before. Now he's going to have a Lithanar here who hates his guts, and also Grombrindal who hates his guts. So Malekith's start position is going to be kind of like all-out war pretty early, I would imagine. So that could be cool. But yeah, this whole like Tomb Kings versus Volkmar versus Manfred trip is kind of cool, and it's good as well because for the Tomb Kings, because I think the Tomb Kings, I'm not 100% sure about all the lore, but I think the Tomb Kings kind of hate the vampire counts. That's kind of one of the things, except for Arcan the Black, maybe he's a bit weird, but yeah, if Manfred is down in the south, that'll give the Tomb Kings and the vampire counts, the ability to be in conflict with each other. So I think that'll be really cool. Man, YouTube's always telling me to insert ads all the time. It's like it's obsessed. YouTube's obsessed with ads. But anyway, just get rid of the map again. I'm gonna get mixed up with these screens. I'm gonna forget and leave the wrong screen up, I bet. Helman Gorst, Caravan of the Blue Roses. Ever clinging to the hope of discovering necromancies that could bring his brothers back to life, Helman Gorst has moved towards eastwards in order to be closer there to the coveted Negashazar fortress. So is Negashazar like so Sylvania's here, right? So we talked before how they've rejigged the map of Sylvania. Instead of having eastern and western Sylvania, they've now got northern and southern Sylvania. So Schwarzhafen has become part of eastern Sylvania, and that's formed the new southern Sylvania. And Tempelhof has become northern Sylvania. So that's pretty interesting. But But yeah, so it says that Helmengorst has moved eastwards to be near the fortress of Nagashazar. If you go straight east from there, you end up in like the Blasted Waste and stuff. Whereas I thought that Nagashazar was down here somewhere. Broken Teeth? Yeah, isn't it around Nagashazar around Broken Teeth around this area somewhere? I'm 100% sure. Oh, it is in Broken Teeth, Monkey Manfu. Thanks for confirming, man. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I don't know, like that looks like southeast to me. But yeah, anyway, that's where it is down there. Yeah, down about here. So yeah, anyway, that's interesting. Your cursor is out of screen. Yeah, sorry, when I get yeah, it's hard to try and follow all these things. The screen is changing. Yeah, south of Tretch. Oh yeah, so yeah, we'll check that out as well in a second. The Skaven. Actually, we can check it out now. So this is the this is the new updated start position mapping, including the Skaven. May as well just quickly cover this. So yeah, so Tretch is my head back in there. Yeah, so fit it in. I need to make it a bit smaller. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so anyway, so Tretch is over here. I mean, sorry, Snickage is over here in Cathay, which is pretty much where I thought it would be. Pretty much exactly the same as his start position in Warhammer 3, Realm of Chaos campaign. So that's cool. We've got some Skaven over there in Cathay. It is going to make it pretty hard to confederate Snickage though. Like if you play as, like, you know, if you play as Ikit Claw or something, you're not really going to have access to confederate Snickage because Ikit Claw is right in the middle of the map and he's not near any of the sea lanes. The sea lanes kind of get you from the left to the east to the west and west to the east, and from the middle south middle to the east. But if you're in this central sea here, like you're nowhere near anything. So Snickage and Ikit Claw is not going to have much access to Snickage. But anyway, yeah, so Ikit Claw is still in his same exact starting position. Snickage is over in Cathay where he starts off in Realm of Chaos. Tretch has moved, so Tretch was previously kind of around over here near roughly where near Alithanar is starting off now. But he's moved over now to the other I think that's the same place where his other tribe was in Mortal Empires. Which was kind of like, I think people suspected that would be his final position from the start. Hey Andrew Jones, there you go, man. Yeah, so he's there. Skrolk's still in the same starting position down in Lustria. So some of these other lords have been moved out. So like Teclis has been moved here. Loki has been moved over here to Eastern Cathay. But yeah, a bunch of them are staying here. Skrolk's staying there. But now we've got Alberic over here in Lustria as well. So there's another lord that's been added. I don't think I noticed that actually before when we were talking about Bretonian lords. Hey Leno, thanks for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Very generous. Tomb Kings and Dark Elves have it close to Cathay now. We haven't seen the Tomb Kings release the Tomb Kings start positions yet, have we? But yeah, they could. Maybe they will move as one of the Tomb Kings over here. That'd be cool. Balthazar should start in Estalia. That would be pretty cool. But nah, Balthazar got still starting in his same starting position in Solent that he starts in Immortal Empires. Yeah, Throt's still starting in his same starting position. I think that's all the Skaven lords, isn't it? Have we missed anybody? That's all. Yeah, so Vlad and Isabella on Castline. Unlike the other legendary lords, this power couple will be staying together in undead matrimony, but will be playable within the same campaign. If you choose Vlad as your legendary lord, Isabella will be automatically unlocked as a hero, and vice versa. So this is something that people were asking for like way back at the start. And yeah, and I don't know, I didn't really think that they would bother changing it, but they have. So basically, currently in Immortal Empires, if you play as Vlad, you start off with Vlad as your first legendary lord, and then you immediately get access to also recruit Isabella as a legendary lord, and then you have the two legendary lords together, and they can move around like two separate armies, but you can keep them together and reinforce each other. So in the new version, they're like, if you play Vlad, Vlad will be a legendary lord, and Mercy and Isabella will be a hero. And if you play Isabella, then Isabella will be a legendary lord, and Vlad will be a hero. So the other one can actually be in the same army with you. And yeah, that's a really cool idea. I wonder if they'll have the same skill tree. That would be kind of interesting. Like, you know, so if, yeah, like I wonder how, like, yeah, I wonder how they're going to do that, because a lot, like, because with traits and abilities and stuff like that, they have tags based on whether it's a lord that's leading an army or a hero that's not leading an army, you know. So like combat abilities and auras and stuff like that apply in Battlefield, it doesn't really matter whether it's a lord or a hero, but a lot of the like army abilities and strategy map stuff will only affect you if you are if you're like the correct type of entity, right? So, you know, so they could maybe do it where they just have the same, like basically, if just they plays Vlad, then if you have Isabella as a hero, then Isabella still has her same legendary lord skill tree, but she's a hero. But then, you know, it would be weird, because if she took like, you know, increased strategy map movement or whatever, then would that apply to Vlad's army if she was embedded, or would that apply to herself if she was a hero on the campaign map? You know, if she has like extra replenishment for the army, does that apply as like legendary lord replenishment, or is it separate hero you know? So yeah, I don't know. Be interesting to see whether they just like have the same skill tree regardless of whether they're a legendary lord or if they are a hero, or if they actually have two alternate skill trees, one for their legendary lord version and one for their hero version. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see whether they get what they do with the defeat traits. Yeah, a few people mentioned that. So Isabella obviously has a really desirable defeat trait that if you kill her, your legendary lord. This is in Immortal Empires currently. If you kill Isabella, your legendary lord gets the regeneration ability, so you can regenerate health. And regeneration seems to have gotten a bit more powerful in Warhammer 3, especially if you've got high base health, because regeneration used to be a set amount. Like I think Isabella's regeneration that she grants is 4 hit points per second, but that would probably equate to like 0.1. That would probably equate to 0.1% health per second in Warhammer 3, which, you know, if you like Kugath and you've got like 10,000 hit points, then that could be pretty good. Could be better, you know, might be more than 4 per second. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, that's interesting. It doesn't say anything about them moving in their it doesn't say anything about their start position moving. And that combined with this little comment about Manfred von Carstein seeking the books of Nagash kind of makes me think that, yeah, that Isabella and Vlad are going to stay in Sylvania, and that you know, Isabella and Vlad will stay here in Sylvania, and Manfred will perhaps move down to the Southlands. So there's still kind of a gap in the middle of the Southlands here. So I guess if they put like Cetra, where's Barrier? Cetra's right here in the Land of the Dead. So that kind of makes me feel like, you know, Manfred could start around here somewhere maybe, or down around here somewhere maybe. There's still some space in there. So yeah, Sigvald the Magnificent, the decadent host. Yeah, so a few people have commented on that Sigvald's flag is his own face, which is like perfectly suits his you know, his ego and vanity. That he just makes his flag his own face. His bodyguard also, called the Mirror Guard, basically has an elite bodyguard of Chaos Warriors that have, and all of their armor is polished to a mirror sheen, and their shields are all polished to be perfect mirrors as well, so that whenever he looks at his bodyguard that obviously surround him, then he can just see his own reflection in their armor, because that's just how he rolls. Armed with his Sigvald's definitely one of the lords I'm most looking forward to. I can't wait. armed with his disturbing yet angelic beauty, Prince Sigvald is now a force unto himself within the Warriors of Chaos. He reclines in pleasure in the northwestern Chaos Wastes, and has been bestowed with some tantalizing new features, such as the ability to seduce units, use seductive influence, and has access to Slaaneish's demonic breed. So the ability to seduce units, that's a battle ability. So when you attack an enemy army in Warhammer 3, with you playing as Slaanesh, before the battle, you get to, when you're looking at your army versus their army, you know, in the pre-battle screen, you get to select some of their units up to a certain value to seduce into your army. Then you get to actually use them in battle. And you can then, you know, use that enemy, those enemy units in battle. You can sacrifice them basically as suicide units. You don't care because it's actually your opponent's units that are dying, not yours, right? So yeah, it's a really powerful ability. It can really even the score in difficult battles. It just costs money. It costs currency to use it. So if you've got your economy under control, and it can be really good. So he's gonna be and so this is interesting because it's like, so Warriors of Chaos is not necessarily Chaos Undivided, right? So Be'lakor is going to be Chaos Undivided, Archaon's going to be Chaos Undivided, presumably Kholek Suneater is going to be Chaos Undivided as well, but Sigvald is not going to be Chaos Undivided. He's going to be, you know, dedicated to Slaanesh, presumably. So I'm guessing that means that unlike Be'lakor, who gets access to all, perhaps every single demon unit is maybe available to Be'lakor, Sigvald perhaps is only going to get to use Slaanesh's demons. It says you know, he has access to Slaanesh's demonic breed. So it specifically says he does have access to Slaanesh's demons, and I assume that means that he's not going to get access to anyone else's demons. So yeah, so that's interesting. So the unit stuff, I'm not surprised. I mean, now that they say it, the seduce units ability is not that surprising either, because I assumed that he would be Slaaneshi orientated. But it's cool that they actually gave him that Slaanesh seduce ability, the seduce units ability. Also, seductive influence. So I believe the seductive influence mechanic is a mechanic that Nakari uses in Warhammer 3, which you can use on elves, humans, and humans basically to get more diplomatic influence over them, and then eventually force them into subjugation to become your vassal. So basically every time you defeat an enemy army, you give like Slaanesh gifts to them, and that allows you to gather, like, have various effects on them, and also gather more seductive influence per turn, and over their faction. And then also every time you enter diplomacy with the faction, you get a little bit more seductive influence, stuff like that. And then basically once you get that up to like 100, then you get the opportunity to spend your currency to take over the faction as a vassal. That's going to be really cool, like, because I think, yeah, like, this is like a really good example of how the technology has advanced so much. Like, Warriors of Chaos, I talk a lot about how much I hate the Warriors of Chaos faction, the way they're implemented. Not hate, they're just really bad, you know. But it's not a criticism really of Creative Assembly. Like, that was just the best that we could do at that time, you know, because a lot of these mechanics just didn't exist at the time, you know. So in the original Warhammer 1, actually I'm not sure if I can remember fully Warhammer 1, but in Immortal Empires, Sigvald gets some bonuses to kind of marauders, like Norscan marauders, and he gets some like things around you know, confederate, like interacting with Norsca diplomatically, basically. But it's just really like, it's not very impactful. It doesn't really do anything. It's not like sexy, you know, which is the worst crime for anything related to Sigvald, obviously. But yeah, like now with these crazy new abilities that they've invented basically for Warhammer 3, like, so the abilities to seduce units and the ability to use seductive influence to dominate whole factions, like, this stuff is perfect for the Slaanesh, you know, and it's obviously perfect for Sigvald as well, because he's a Slaanesh lord. So yeah, so I don't know, it's yeah, I don't know. It just kind of occurred to me that although I've been like bemoaning that Chaos Warriors suck so much, and I love Chaos Warriors, like they're one of my favorite factions, and I've been wanting to play them the whole time, but I just haven't because they're just not fun, you know. But now, like we've got all access to this like cool stuff that can. So when they do this Chaos Warriors rework, Chaos Warriors are going to be awesome. That's kind of the vibe. That's the vibe that I'm picking up. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that. The ancient dragon ogre now resides in the north of the mountains of Morn, keen to seek out monolithic settlements for his own dark designs. Keen to seek out monolithic settlements for his own dark design. What does that mean? It means something. Like, it definitely means something, right? They've got some mechanics for Kholek, and that is a reference to it. But I've got, like, not the slightest idea what that means. Keen to seek out monolithic settlement. Oh, keen to seek out a monolithic settlement. Right, sorry, I missed that. Keen to seek out a monolithic settlement. So, so maybe they're going to give him like a Carrick 8 Peaks type of mechanic where he, you know, once he takes over a particular location on the map, he's going to unlock some bonuses, or he's going to start off with like a malice that weakens him or something, and then once he, you know, captures Sky Titan Plateau, says Martin Torres, suggests Martin Torres, or something, then he can get, you know, unlock that. So where are we? Mountains of Morn is around here somewhere. Oh yeah, Mountains of Morn's here. Near sort of west of Cathay, there's the Mountains of Morn. And yeah, so it's saying there's a monolithic settlement somewhere around here that he wants to capture. So yeah, not really sure. I haven't got the settlement names on this map. This is just got the province names only. So, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing there'll be somewhere, you know, like if you look at the algorithm gods brought you here. Hey, Calvin, welcome, man. So you like, you know, like with Belagar, you know, he starts off over here in the vaults, and then he has to migrate over here to Carrick 8 Peaks, and that's his quest kind of thing. Excuse me. So you know, that about that far, I guess, is, you know, how far away they thought would be appropriate for Belagar to get to do his quest. So I don't know. Does that mean that, you know, Kholek's one will be somewhere in this region? Somebody suggested that you'll have to make his way to the Black Pyramid of Nagash. Really? Does Kholek have anything to do with Nagash? I haven't heard that, but I don't know that much about the lore of Kholek. But yeah, I mean, if he has to make it to Nagash, that's about twice as far as Belagar has to go to retake Carrick 8 Peaks. It would be, the Black Pyramid would be monolithic. Yeah, that would make sense. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, like somebody else said something about the Sky Titan Plateau, something like that, something to do with like mountains and lightning and shit like that would be more kind of thematic, I would have thought. Yeah, so I don't know. I would have thought it would be somewhere in this kind of, in this quarter of the world map at least, you know. He's faster than a stunty. Oh yeah, maybe Kholek can travel further for his quest because his legs are longer than Belagar. But yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, so we're gonna have Kholek over here now. I think that's kind of cool as well, like having Kholek and dragon ogres in amongst, like, fighting with the ogres or potentially interacting with the ogres. The ogres can perhaps align with Kholek. You know, you can have some like dragon ogre crossovers and stuff. That could be interesting. Up next week we'll be answering the questions you asked last month in a special interview with the developers. You won't want to miss it. We'll also be sharing details about another bit of content coming with Immortal Empires next week. So check back for more as we continue our march to August. Yeah, cool. That's pretty awesome. I don't know I wonder what this we'll be sharing about another bit of content coming with Immortal Empires next week. That doesn't sound like, I don't know. Ogres and dragon ogres don't like each other. Oh, okay, so they probably won't be friends then. Yeah, all right, thanks for that correction. yeah, I wonder what another bit of content. Will anyone have any clues about what they're hinting towards that? Like, because I mean, the thing I want to know about now is Warriors of Chaos. Like, I want to know about the Warriors of Chaos update. And I feel like they've given, because all this information they've given us about Sigvald, Kholek, Be'lakor, that's all hinted about the Warriors of Chaos. Like, I'm wondering. Yeah, I want to know the rest about everything. I want to know everything about the Warriors of Chaos. What's going on? What's the rest of it? But I assume it sort of said we'll be sharing stuff about the Warriors of Chaos if they were going to do that. So another bit is what something else they could be sharing about. I don't know. Where is Archaon? Well, this is all about the the other lords that got split off, not the main faction. You know, so like Volkmar is the one that got split off from Karl Franz. So they're not talking about Karl Franz; they're just talking about Volkmar. So yeah, so Archaon's presumably still starting in the same starting position that he started off. But we're just talking about Kholek and Sigvald, the two that have split off and gotten their own mechanics. But yeah, I want to know what's going on with Archaon as well. Archaon. I wonder what Archaon and Sartorial are doing. Maybe Archaon is challenging Daniel for the preference of the god. Yeah, maybe. Actually, that's a good point. Sartorial is obviously not going to be a legendary lord in Immortal Empires, because otherwise they would have mentioned him in this list. They could have mentioned Sartorial along with Be'lakor as like a lord that, you know, is not really playable, but now he's going to emerge as a playable lord in the game. But yeah, they didn't take the opportunity to announce Sartorial as another one of these dedicated lords. So I'm guessing we're not going to see Sartorial as his own separate thing. But that's okay. Love and hate this drip feed of content. Something cool each day, but it's never enough. Well, I think today's one has been really cool. Like, it's just like so much stuff to wonder about, you know, like, and maybe it's just also because I'm just really into the Warriors of Chaos. Like, the Warriors of Chaos have like the coolest units, like some of the coolest characters, like just the models of the, you know, of like the, just the models of like the Warriors of Chaos lords, the sorcerer lords, the heroes. They're just, I don't know, they all just look so cool. I love that heavy armor with the crazy, you know, mutations. Well, not really mutations, but like twisted armor and mutations. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I love Chaos Warriors. I wasn't really prepared to give a speech about how and why I love them, but you know, I do love them. I'll talk more on that over the coming weeks, I'm sure. 1 month to wait. Yeah, well, you'll probably see a little bit of early access content before that. I'm not going to get early access for a little while yet. I don't know exactly, but I'm guessing that the partners will get early access a long time before I do. So, you know, so like Legend of Total War, you know, Indie Pride, also now Dame Offensive and Anticity are now in the partners as well. So, be interesting to see if they get the same early access as everyone else. I assume that they will. So yeah, so I'm guessing we should be seeing some content from those guys, like not too far away. I don't know. I mean, commonly the partners get access, you know, they get to start showing stuff a few weeks before, like at least 2 to 3 weeks before stuff comes out. So yeah, but I don't know. It seems to be a bit different each time. Like each time they do a release, there's different stuff. So yeah, I don't know. You're not a partner? Nah, I'm not a partner. I'm a partner. Didn't quite make it. The cutoff used to be 15,000. So yeah, I'm currently on like 14,700. So yeah, but I'm not sure if it's strictly based on numbers anymore. I think you just have to kind of apply and whatever. But hopefully I should get to, well, I don't know. Hopefully I might be able to get into the partner program before the next DLC, whatever the next one is after Warriors of Chaos. So maybe for the Chaos Dwarfs, if that's the next one. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just subbed. Oh, thanks to that, Calvin. Much appreciated, man. Yeah, I do a lot of videos. I stream most nights for Warhammer 3 and Warhammer 2. We'll definitely be streaming lots of Immortal Empires as soon as that comes out. And I also do videos about, you know, exploits, strategies, guides and stuff like that for Warhammer 2. So yeah, if any of you guys are interested, please check out my channel for some of those. I've got my Belagar 2-turn Rune of Spite video up on the front page there. That might be interesting for you guys. Lots of vampire exploits and some dark elf ones, some more popular ones. How is your point of view about the 1.3 update? Is it worth to start playing again? Hey Stefan. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to make... don't forget to beg for subs once in a while. People are forgetful. Yeah, thanks for that main output. I don't know. I feel a bit cheesy like us. Yeah, anyway. Yes, please subscribe to my channel, everybody. I need about 300 more people to subscribe to my channel so I can get to 15,000. But yeah, I'm sure it'll come in time. Totally forgot what I was talking about now. Yeah, it's just, yeah, so we should see some, I'm guessing we might see some gameplay not too far away, I guess. But yeah, I don't know exactly when the partners are getting access, but yeah, not too sure. Hey, Varings, when is Immortal Empires coming? Immortal Empires is coming sometime in August. So yeah, sometime within the next month and a half, I would guess. But yeah, don't know exactly when. But I'd say in the next, I don't know, sometime in the next few weeks, like we should start seeing some gameplay content, you know, so that's going to be pretty exciting. From the partners anyway, and then probably a bit after that I should get access. So that's pretty cool. 1.3, I don't know. So basically for me, the Realm of Chaos campaign now, the Warhammer 3 campaign, it's a good game. Like it's fine. It's fun. It's good to play and everything, but it's just limited in scope. You know, like I'm the kind of guy who always wants to play the big campaign on the big map. You know what I mean? Like, and when Immortal Empires comes out and we get access to the big map, you know, that's what I'll be playing. But at the moment, you know, Warhammer 3 is not the big map. The big map is Warhammer 2, Immortal Empires. So yeah, once we get access to this, I'm going to be wanting to play this all the time for sure. But for now, I think, I don't know, like right now I'm got an Ogres campaign going. Ogres is my favorite campaign in Warhammer 3. And I'm enjoying it. The new changes all seem good, but they don't, like, the changes don't give you more content, you know what I mean? Like the problem for me with Warhammer 3 has never really been any of the pacing stuff or the bugs or the Realm of Chaos campaign mechanics being annoying or any of that stuff. Like, sure, some of that stuff affected me a little bit, but the only thing that stops me playing it is just the lack of content, you know? I can't play my Chaos, I can't play my, you know, my Dark Elves, sorry, getting mixed up with different universes. Can't play my Dark Elves, my Empire, my Dwarfs, all my favorite factions, you know, they're not in Warhammer 3. I just don't like the Warhammer 3 factions as much, like I just don't get into them as much, you know? And also, the Warhammer 3 factions don't have all their DLC yet. You know, like Ogres are probably the closest to being a complete faction because they've got, like, they're a race pack, so they've got 3 different heroes that you can recruit, 3 different hero types. They've got like a larger, like more filled out roster and stuff like that. Whereas the Chaos factions, you know, they've only got like half their units. They've only got 2 heroes each instead of 4. You know. Yeah, like I feel like each of the each of the demonic factions are going to end up probably getting at least, you know, probably going to end up getting 2 more DLCs each, you know, 2 more hero types, a bunch more units, and a couple more legendary lords each, and then they're going to be fully fleshed out, and probably I'll be a lot more interested in playing them, you know. But at the moment, I kind of feel like they're half factions, you know. So I don't. Basically, my recommendation is if you've already played Warhammer 1 and 2 and you haven't played Warhammer 3 yet, then you should definitely get Warhammer 3 and play it. You'll definitely get a lot of fun out of it. It'll probably keep you entertained for a few weeks, and by that time Immortal Empires will come out. If you haven't played Warhammer 1 and 2, then you should buy Warhammer 1 and 2. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if the summer sale's still on, But if you can get it discounted, then yeah, you should just buy as much of the stuff as you can get discounted. But yeah, you should definitely get 1 and 2. And you should probably just get 3 as well, because soon you're going to be able to play the combined map of all 3 games combined. So you may as well get it. Like, it's not like you're not like you're not going to get the value out of it. Like, if you buy it, even if you buy it at full price, it's still going to be worth it to, like, in my opinion. But Steam Summer Sale is still on. Okay, so Steam Summer Sale is still on right now, guys. So anyone who's watching this, if you haven't bought Warhammer 1 and 2 already, then you should buy Warhammer 1 and 2. You combine them together, and then you can play Immortal Empires, which is like the big combined map. And then if you get Warhammer 3 as well, a month from now when Immortal Empires comes out, you can combine all 3, 1, 2, and 3 all together into the mega big map, which we're looking at right now. So yeah. You shouldn't play Warhammer 1, you should play Warhammer 2. Warhammer Empires didn't get... Yeah, you should play Warhammer 2, but you need Warhammer 1. You need to buy Warhammer 1 in order to play Warhammer 2 Immortal Empires big map. They'll probably reveal the four Champions of Chaos next Tuesday. The start location reveals for Warriors of Chaos is next week on Friday. Okay. I want to know when they're going to give us the details of the Warriors of Chaos rework. Just don't forget that you have to have all of the Warhammer stuff on one platform. Oh, I didn't know that, Day One. Is that true? So if you've bought the game on Epic, if you bought the game on Steam, Day One's saying if you bought like one of the games on Steam, then you should buy all of the games on Steam. Or if you bought one of the games on Epic, then you should buy all the games on Epic. I'm not sure. I don't know anything about that. I'd probably look that up and just double check that. But yeah, I'd definitely be careful of that. Day One's saying, yeah, you cannot mix them. Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's something to watch out for. That'd be really annoying if you bought one on one platform, one on another, and you couldn't play the big game. Because this is what what Legend warns about it regularly. Okay, then. Well, then he's probably looked into it if he's saying that. So yeah, so basically just make sure that you buy it all on Steam. Because yeah, you want to be able to play the big map. Like, this is what it's been all about from the start. Like, this game, they started making this game like 7 years ago or something, or probably like even longer than that if you include all the like planning time and stuff like that. So you know, this game's been in development for like 7 years, and this is what it's all been leading towards. This is what the culmination of the dream, right? The big giant world spanning map, you know, with like with the whole thing, basically. It's gonna be crazy. I hate that you need all 3 games to play Immortal Empires because it's hard to get a friend to buy 3 games. But if you've got Warhammer 3, you can join Immortal Empires multiplayer campaigns. Yeah, that's a cool thing. Yeah, if somebody just buys Warhammer 3, then they can join into your Immortal Empires campaign, even though they don't have 1 and 2. That's cool. Yeah, I think I did hear that. Thanks for bringing that up. I kill you 2xd, or kill you 2 times. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I hope that they do some more stuff to make it accessible like that, because yeah, it's a big barrier to entry for new people. Like, not that you guys out there have any reason to listen to anything I say, but and I'm heavily biased, but yeah, I honestly think it's worth it. Like, I think even if you pay full price for all of the games and every DLC, which would probably cost you like $200 or $300 at this point, because there's so much content for this game, like, it's worth it. It's going to be worth it, because like, this is literally like the best thing around, I reckon. It's my favorite game by far, you know. But there's no need to do that. Like, there's regular Steam sales. You should be able to get like, you know, 60% off, 50% off, 70% off sometimes for different parts of the Warhammer 1 and 2 main game and DLC. Yeah, right now some of it's on special, so check out the Steam sales for the summer sale. But yeah, like, that's the thing. If you can afford it and you know that you love this type of game, then I think you're definitely going to get your money's worth out of it, and it's definitely worth it, even if you pay full price, you know. But having said that, it's a big barrier it's a big barrier to entry for new people. You know what I mean? Like, and you don't know like how much you're gonna like the game, you know, whatever. So I guess there's like Legends probably put up a video about what order to buy the DLC, and yeah, I've said already that's what I would do. I'd buy Warhammer. If you don't know, if you haven't played anything yet and you don't know whether you even like it or whatever, I guess you could just buy Warhammer 3 and try it out. If you think you definitely do like it and you want the full experience, I'd probably go Warhammer 2 plus Warhammer 1 to get the big map. But yeah, no, you can't get wrong with anything really, because like at the end of the day, you're gonna want everything. I reckon you want to buy at least game 1, 2, and 3, and you're gonna want to buy a couple of DLC for whatever your favorite race is. Like I'd say like bare minimum, You have everything at full price. I like pretty much was committed to buying everything that ever comes out for this game straight away from day one. Creative Assembly have been nice enough to give me free copies of the last few DLCs and stuff. But I've actually gone out of my way to buy another copy and then give it away, because I sort of like, I'm that committed to this game that I'm gonna just want to throw money at them. I spent like $500 on this game, says Andrew Jones. Everyone's like admitting how much they've spent on their Warhammer crack. Yeah, it's Game Pass is a win for entry. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass. I don't even really understand how that works. I don't have an Xbox, but yeah, that's just like on Game Pass. That means they just give you access to certain games and you can play them for free. Is it just like for a certain period of time that you're allowed to play it for free, or do you get it free forever? Or well, I don't really know how Game Pass works, but yeah, that's really cool. Xbox Game Pass is on PC. Yeah, I mean, I've never gotten it. I only play one game when I've already bought it, so I don't really need it. But yeah, anyway, I don't know how to go Xbox Game Pass works. So, worth it. CA is given quality, even if there's some hiccup. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I think a lot of people come into approach the whole DLC thing having been burnt by other companies and stuff like that, or like I've definitely bought DLC and stuff for games that didn't really deliver fully, but like I feel like Creative Assembly generally does deliver, and particularly with this game, I think they've really figured it out. They've hit the formula, and they're just doing really well with it, and I think it's just going to continue to get better. Yeah, there has been some hiccups along the way, but making a game this size is a big, complicated exercise. It's a lot of work, a lot of stuff involved in it, and yeah, it's going to take a while for it to get all ironed out. But yeah. I kind of just want to go. I want to just go back over the stuff we already talked about, so I can feel the same excitement that I just felt when I read it the first time. But probably not going to actually find any new information. Was there anything that I didn't cover, or anything that anyone else had picked up on? There was also what was I doing? Somebody put up like a map on Reddit of like where they thought that the chaos factions were going to be, but I think we already pretty much covered that. But yeah, oh yeah, this is the map of where the new starting positions are possibly going to be. Yeah, looks interesting. What do you think about Helm and Gorse being moved? I don't know. I don't really care about Helm and Gorse too much. Not really super interested in him. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about him being moved? Anything interesting about that? You get so much for your money. Every new DLC brings free stuff. You also get to fight the new enemies if you don't buy it. Yeah, I think the way that Creative Assembly does the DLC is brilliant. Like the DLC comes out and everyone gets access to it for free in terms of making the world deeper and richer and got more enemies and new stuff and all that. Like everyone gets that. You just can't play as the new faction unless you buy it. And I think that's really cool. It does two things. It like gives everybody access to more content for free, which is really cool. It keeps the interest there. And at the same time, it like gives CA that revenue as well, and it's just like, I don't know. And also when those new factions get added into the game, there's sort of like free advertising to everyone who plays the game because they see that faction and like, oh, it'd be cool to play as them. Hey Calvin Gents, likes for the like god, subs for the sub god. Yeah, thanks fan, much appreciated. Cool beard, by the way. I'm also a bit of a beard aficionado. I'm happy he's moved. Fighting Darby as skeletons for the first 10 turns sucks. Oh, yeah, true. He will most likely just replace the silver host, even has the same color scheme. Oh, do you reckon, Gangster Boys? I don't know. I thought the silver host was going to be... Isn't the silver... Wait up. No, is the silver host... I thought that was... Silver host was the Lamian... Or is the Lamian Sisterhood or something that's separate? No, the Lamian one is like the gold one, isn't it? Silver host... I don't know what I was thinking about. Yeah, I thought the silver host was the Lamian one, so that would not be unlikely that would be Gorst.
You must face these demons.
I just cannot wait for Immortal Empires. Yeah, I'm right with you, Jacrates. I cannot wait for it either. Lamian Sisterhood is separate. Neferata, yeah, Neferata, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. Was there any other was there any other news that anyone had picked up on that I haven't covered already? But yeah, I'm just like really excited about those little tidbits about the Warriors of Chaos, basically. Mess mad. For a guy who says he does not follow this release info, you get an hour of view time from it. Alright. Is that last map official? No, not official at all, Fisherman. Yeah. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing else that anyone else has picked up on. Only news you didn't read is the bottom of the article says the game devs will do a Q&A next week. No, I did read that actually, Raving, but yeah. King Manfred is moving somewhere near the Tomb Kings because there's books of Nagash mechanic. Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I spent my first hour of the game deciding who to play. Yeah, for sure. Glad to see a positive spot instead of Nurgle's infestation of moaning on the subreddit, huh? Oh, I don't really read that stuff. Yeah, no, I'm super positive about it. I think most people are really positive about it. Like, I know Nathan's really excited about it. I think Legend's like excited about it, but he's like extremely cautious, because he's feels like we've been a bit burnt in the past. He doesn't want to like hope too much, But I'm hoping that it's going to make him happy. But yeah, I think everyone's pretty excited about Immortal Empires. A lot of content creators are coming back to Warhammer 3 for Immortal Empires. So that'll be good. Yeah, I just really want to just talk about the exact same stuff I already talked about, just all over again. But Legend really overcommitted and got burned. Yeah, I kind of did as well. I took off like 3 months off work to just do YouTube full time for after Immortal Empires, after Warhammer 3 came out. But then like interest in the game took a massive downturn after Warhammer 3 came out, so that kind of screwed me out a little bit. But yeah, such is life. Yeah, anyway guys, yeah, I think it's all pretty exciting. Don't you think Bellicor should have been a Demons of Chaos faction instead of a Warriors of Chaos faction? Well, I think that, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I was thought that was interesting as well. like it seemed, that's what I was sort of talking about before. It seems like Warriors of Chaos is interesting because it's like there was some question about whether Warriors of Chaos would be renamed as Chaos Undivided. They haven't renamed them, but it's sort of like, it seems like Warriors of Chaos is sort of a weird thing now, where it's partially kind of Chaos Undivided in that Be'lakor has joined that, and also Archaon and Kholek are Chaos Undivided. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he should have been. I think it'll probably be completely workable the way that they're doing it, with him being a Warriors of Chaos faction. It sort of sounds like they're gonna rework Warriors of Chaos to be more like the Demons of Chaos factions, and also the Demons of factions, Demons of Chaos factions are not really Demons of Chaos. So like in Warhammer Tabletop, you have like the Demons of Chaos army book and the Warriors of Chaos army book and the Beasts of Chaos army book that are all separate, like Demons, Warriors of Chaos, Beastmen. But in Warhammer, they're not, even though they're basing it on the 8th edition books and stuff, they're not, that's not the structure they've gone with. They've gone with the monogod structure. So no, like Nurgle faction, for example, is not Demons of Nurgle, it's everything of Nurgle. So it's, you know, it's Demons of Nurgle, it's Immortal Followers of Nurgle, it's Chaos Warriors, you know, dedicated to Nurgle. I'm hoping and assuming that we'll later on get DLC that will give us Chosen of Nurgle, you know, and like maybe Exalted Heroes of Nurgle or something, you know, like other Chaos Warrior type units, like dedicated to Nurgle. And the same with the other Chaos Gods. So yeah, so it's sort of like, so I'm not really surprised Be'lakor went into the Warriors of Chaos, because I feel like the Warriors of Chaos faction is like the Chaos Undivided faction, you know what I mean? But it's sort of interesting because Daniel is still, I mean, the Demon Prince is still like his own faction. So it's sort of, yeah, it is sort of a bit weird, isn't it? Like you would sort of more expect them to go into Daniel's faction, into the Demon Prince. I wonder if they'll change the Demon Prince to be a Warriors of Chaos faction or something, or if they'll leave him still as his own separate faction. Because yeah, like if they made Be'lakor, you know, like, because they've already got like the Demon Prince Chaos Undivided faction. So, you know, if they had made Be'lakor part of that faction, then they would have given Be'lakor, you know, some sort of way of going down the path of the different Chaos factions. The other thing I was thinking is maybe the Demon Prince is going to be Warriors of Chaos. Yeah, maybe the Demon Prince is going to become part of the Warriors of Chaos faction in Warhammer 3. That could be, you know, like, because like Sigvald is like Warriors of Chaos, but he's going to be quite different from the other Warriors of Chaos because he's got the seduce units mechanic, he's got the seductive influence mechanic, you know, so he's like half Slaanesh, half Warriors of Chaos. So yeah, maybe Demon Prince is going to be like Warriors of Chaos plus like his special mechanics or something. Or maybe not. He'll just still remain his own separate Chaos Undivided faction or something like that. Andy Hall, one of the lead developers for Warhammer, told an interview that he had with Sotek that monogod factions are demon factions with a little bit of mortals, but mainly demons. Yeah, well, I mean, we've got them playable in the game as well, so yeah, we can see that. In the books, he has a teleporting fortress. Who has a teleporting fortress? I want a teleporting fortress. SSMCS says, I think the reason why Be'lakor is Warriors of Chaos is because Demons of Chaos has no tech tree and was made specifically for Daniel and require more effort to rework it to have him in that faction. Yeah, I feel like Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like they need to rework Daniel as well. I feel like the idea is cool and really different and everything, but I think it's a bit too, I don't know. a bit too wonky and weird compared to the other the other factions, you know? Like, I don't know, that's not really a good way to explain it, but like I think with Daniel's faction, like the Demon Prince faction, they did something completely different. Like his faction is really weird, really different from the way that a normal Total War faction works, even within the scope of like, you know, like he doesn't even have a tech tree, you know what I mean? Like he's crazy, you know. And so yeah, so I feel like they need to keep reworking that a little bit more to make it sort of make sense a bit more.
Dark gods still feed on our transgressions.
Can't tell that they're moving Manfred. Yeah, well, we think that they might be moving Manfred because, well, it seems like there's a strong suggestion they're moving Manfred because it's saying Volkmar now resides in the Lower Southland, and he's going to be going after the books of Nagash, and then it says that the Tomb Kings and Manfred von Karstein also go after the books of Nagash. So it sounds like Manfred's going to be in the Southlands fighting it out with Cetra and Volkmar. Somebody said it looks like what are those swordsmen behind Volkmar in the picture? They look different. They do look different. They're great swords. I don't know. It's not like. Not really. We open the image in a new tab. Oh yeah, here we go. Oh nah, they just look normal. They just look normal. So this hammer thing, this is Volkmar's hammer that's in the way here, and that's some great swords in the background. They just look like normal great swords to me. Like if you look at this one, he just looks very much like a normal great sword. You can see some flagellants in the further distance back there. I like the vibe though. Checking out some background action there, and then you can see Volkmar fighting with Arkan the Black. It's pretty cool. Just great swords, yeah. Hey, Postuma. More here about Nagash. I really think he shouldn't be a regular legendary starting lord, but something you have to work towards or summon to prevent it. Something big in the middle late game. Yeah, I'd really like if they had some unlockable free LC lords as well. I kind of like that idea of how you had to like unlock, like in Medieval 2, you had to unlock, like you had to defeat each faction in order to unlock them to make them playable. That was really cool, I thought. It sort of gives you something to play towards as well. Like I don't know, it's cool. So yeah, it'd be cool if Nagash was the other thing I was thinking. It'd be cool if Nagash was one of the end game scenarios, like the undead end game scenario. That at some point in the late game, Nagash can just kind of like arise and start like making undead invasions everywhere and stuff like that. The game can finally begin when Immortal Empires is out. Yeah, exactly. Like I think like even if the game's not super polished at launch when Immortal Empires beta comes out, at least that's the final version of the game, you know? Like I feel like all these updates that they keep doing with Warhammer 3 for the Realm of Chaos campaign, I just feel like it's such a waste because like who cares? Like I'm not going to play that anymore, you know? I mean, I know that there are other people that are going to get value out of it, so I'm not saying they shouldn't do it. I'm just saying for me personally, and probably for a lot of you, like who gives a shit about the Realm of Chaos campaign? We don't care about updates to that, you know. We just want Immortal Empires, and as soon as Immortal Empires comes out, even if it's like objectively in a worse state than Warhammer 2 or whatever, at least that's the game. That's the real game. That's the final game that we're actually going to be playing now for the next few years, you know, and we can start seeing the development of it, you know, everything. Like I guess what I'm saying is like once Immortal Empires launches, every single update is like a meaningful update that's improving your actual game, not an update that improving some other game that's sort of sideways related to the game that you actually want to play, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool. Like the journey, the final journey begins basically. In-game scenarios: Skaven Super Bomb, Lizard Man Plan Ultra, Undead Re-Rising, Demon Invasion, High Elf buying spree, Dark Elf raiding extravaganza. Yeah, good one, Rob Adamson. They seem like good. They seem like viable alternatives. I hope that they actually work them in really well. Like, I wouldn't mind if they. What I would like them to do with the endgame scenarios is to release them one at a time as free LC. Maybe even make it so that you have to download them from the thing, so that you can see that it's extra content that you actually get. And then so it's sort of like, because like with Darktide and that's coming out soon, and with Inquisitor Martyr and stuff like that, like you have like seasonal kind of content that adds more content to the game, because the map is not going to be expanding anymore. Like we've got the whole map, although they might fill in Koresh and Ind later on, so they've got some expansion there. But basically the map's only going to be that big, right? But they can add more content by adding these new endgame scenarios. So I feel like it'd be really cool if, when Immortal Empires first launches, they have the Chaos Invasion and endgame scenario that we've already seen, but maybe they update a little bit, add some new, change it a bit or whatever. Then they've also said they're going to have an orc and an undead one. So maybe they have like an orc big bad war boss rises up and unites all of the greenskins in the whole world and makes just a green tide that you have to fight against or something like that. Maybe the undead one is Nagash, like making some sort of crazy undead thing that makes a bunch of his undead lieutenants will rise up all over the place and the world will be plunged into darkness or whatever, So you'll have three, right? You'll have like Chaos, Undead, Greenskins. That'll be in maybe at launch in the Immortal Empires beta. And then like 6 months from now, or whatever, when another DLC is coming out, or maybe in between DLCs or whatever, they release like maybe a big update patch that fixes a lot of issues and brings in some new kind of content, kind of like free update content for, maybe they do like a rework of Warhammer 2 faction or something like that, and then at the same time they bring in the new endgame scenario, Skaven Undercities Rising or whatever, and so they have this sort of like seasonal content thing that comes out that would, like, I think that would be a really cool thing to do. Would just it would just give it another reason to kind of keep the like content hype train kind of going, and it's the sort of thing that can be designed by like game designers without having to have a lot of new asset creation, so like, just say they're going to do the Skaven one, then they don't necessarily need to create any new models or anything, they can just use existing kind of mechanics and stuff like that to like program it into the game, if you know what I mean. We just need rework for Bretonia and Norska. Then every one faction should have one. Yeah, like Bretonia and Norska are definitely, I'd like to see them get a rework. Like, they're neither of them are favorite factions of mine, but both of them are factions that I could like, like the dwarves, for example. Like, part of why I like the dwarves is because I like their mechanics. I like guns. I find the defensive playstyle like refreshing. Sometimes when you've been playing other more aggressive factions. Plus, I think I'm probably more of a defensive player anyway, just naturally. But the other thing is the underlying just love for the dwarfs. Like, I just love dwarfs. I just love the lore. I love the slayers. The whole concept of slayers. I love the lore about the Ironbreakers, like guarding the tunnels. Like, I believe the idea of Ironbreakers. The Ironbreakers, if you're not familiar with the unit, is like a super heavily armored dwarven warrior, basically encased from head to toe in super thick, like Grommeril steel armor. And basically the deal with them is that underneath the dwarven Karaks, underneath their holds, right? On the top, they come out onto land, then their holds underground. But then underneath the hold, they've got all their mines and collapsed mine shafts, and there's like Skaven and goblins like tunneling up from beneath, trying to get into the Karaks to like kill the dwarfs and stuff like that. And so there's all these like tunnels that they need to block off, and the Ironbreakers are these dudes that just hold the tunnels by themselves. So they just send this one dude down there, because you can't, no more than one guy can fight in these tunnels, some of them, because they're too narrow, right? So they just have this one dude that's just like this unkillable fucking dwarf, and they just send them down into the tunnels like to block the path, And yeah, it's pretty crazy. I love that shit. But yeah, the whole thing about the grudges and, you know, I just love the lore. And that's the thing with Bretonnia and Norska, those are both factions that I can really get into as well. Like I love the idea of, like, you know, Norwegian black metal Vikings going around like raiding and axing people. Let me ask you a question. You know, beards, furs, all that good stuff. Hey, nose, there you go. And same with Bretonnia. I can totally get into the, like, you know, these hypocritical knights going around just with the strength of their lance arm and stuff, defeating foes and being all like gung ho and stuff. They're like really cool factions that you can really get into the vibe of and really get into the idea of them, but they're just not that good. Like the factions just aren't that good, you know. But the ultimate example really is Chaos Warriors. Like Warriors of Chaos are literally like the coolest faction in the game, in my opinion. You know, or they're in there. They're up there in like top 3 for sure. But their in-game mechanics just let them down so much, you know, and that's about to be rectified, you know. So I'm almost as excited about the Warriors of Chaos rework as I am about Immortal Empires, honestly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the Warriors of Chaos rework, and yeah, I would like to see a Bretonnia and a Norska rework as well. But I feel like there's something weird that goes on with race packs, like race packs like the Tomb Kings, Beastmen, Wood Elves. They don't seem to get updates the same way that main game factions do, or at least historically they haven't. So like the Wood Elves and the Beastmen did eventually both get a second DLC. So they had the original race pack DLC that like brought the race into the world, and then they have a second DLC that added on some stuff onto that, right? But only one, right? They only got one DLC, you know. Whereas the main game factions start off with a bit less stuff, but then they get a lot more DLC. So, you know, I feel like it's like, yeah, like a main game faction in Warhammer 3, for example, like the Demon factions, they only get 2 heroes to start with. They only have 1 legendary lord, and their rosters are like, I don't know, 2/3 full, maybe, you know, like they've got about 2/3 of their roster or whatever. Just as a rough, you know. Whereas a race pack, like the Ogres, they probably have like 90% of their roster, or they have like 3/4 of their roster, like they've got more of their roster, and they've got 3 heroes, not 4, but not 2, right? So they're already kind of almost complete, but not quite, you know. But then the Demons of Chaos faction will probably get like 2 or more DLCs each, and they'll get 2 more heroes each, so they'll have 4 heroes. And they'll get like a bunch more units and stuff like that. So like, yeah, so it's like the race pack factions start off with more stuff than the base game factions do, or about the same, maybe. But in Warhammer 3, it's sort of like more. But then they probably won't. Well, historically, they don't seem to get as many DLCs, so they'll end up having slightly less stuff than the main factions, you know. So yeah, so that's the only thing I'm a bit like worried about, like with like Ogres. I hope they get some more DLC. But Chaos Dwarfs is a real one. Like Chaos Dwarfs, Warriors of Chaos, they're like 2 factions I really am wanting to be really good. And I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but if you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm a bit worried they might not get as much development and as much DLC as a main game race. More Regiments of Renown. Yeah, we'll definitely get more Regiments of Renown. They're just changing the way they do the Regiments of Renown now. Instead of doing like 10 Regiments of Renown for one faction and then doing 10 Regiments of Renown for another faction, they're just doing like 1 Regiment of Renown for every faction and just doing them one at a time. Skaven have a lot because they have a lot of DLCs. Yeah, Skaven got a lot because they just get heaps of DLCs, you know. And High Elves got a lot. Dark Elves got a lot. Like all of them have had like 3. At least, yeah. Dark Elves and High Elves both had 3+ DLCs, I'm pretty sure. If you include the free LCs and stuff. You know, so yeah, and Wood Elves only had like 1 DLC. But I mean, I feel like Wood Elves are pretty I feel like Wood Elves are pretty good now. I don't think they're up to Warhammer 3 standards, but I think they're like, I think the Wood Elves they're above like minimum Warhammer 2 standards kind of thing, I'd say. Skaven aren't done yet? No, that's true. Hey, Saragoth. Better late than never. A wizard always arrives precisely on time, or precisely when he means to. Looks like there is a Reddit post going over the ranged unit change. It appears it will be scaled back according to the post. Is this an official Reddit post, Robert Empson, or just some random person talking about it? Would Nagash be baseline Tomb Kings or vampire counts, or does he get access to all undead units in campaign? Would Neferata be part of his faction or a vampire count legendary look? I wouldn't have thought Neferata would be in Nagash's faction. Is there any lore reason why Neferata would be in Nagash's faction? Did he like enslave her at some point or something? I thought Neferata was just a completely different, separate thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously, first of all, I have no idea. But yeah, I don't think I have thought about it a little bit, and I don't think it would be appropriate for Nagash to be either Tomb Kings or vampire counts. I think both of those seem really not right for him. I'm guessing Nagash would lean more towards vampire counts ish. I guess I don't know. I kind of feel like he sort of needs his own stuff. It's a bit yeah, it's a bit hard with the Nagash because you don't want to create a whole new. You can't they can't create a whole new set of assets just for one lord, right? They can't, you know what I mean? Like they can't create a whole new race just for him. So they're gonna have to do something like a combination between Tomb Kings and vampire counts. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody can talk. Maybe somebody who knows the lore more can talk about some, you know, some instances in the books and stuff that when Nagash has come up and what sort of units he had and stuff like that. Yeah, thanks, Liz. I'll check that out. Range changes are being reverted this week. Here we are. We are working on a hotfix to roll back the change this week. Okay. Is that cool? Okay, cool. Well, that's fixed. Like I think a lot of people put a bit of effort into thinking about how the new mechanic worked and how the new mechanic should be and how they could slightly alter it and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we discussed it a bit like over the last few days, and basically we'd sort of said, well, why did they even make that change in the first place? Like it was totally not needed. It was addressing an issue that didn't exist. Like what was the problem, you know? And so yeah, so they're just gonna get rid of it. Cool, awesome. Yeah, no, it looks like they're just getting rid of it completely. So that's cool. I'm fine with that. I mean, I don't think it really made much difference. Like that, like, yeah, I think it wasn't as, although I know some people had made some videos showing that, you know, it could be really overpowered and stuff like that. I don't think it really made that much difference in campaign, you know. It mainly just made it easier, basically, you know. It made it just more dumbed down. You didn't need to like worry about units as much, which is not an improvement in my opinion, you know. Like it did make it easier, like, and more relaxing to play the battles because you could just blob your dudes and just not care. But that doesn't make it better necessarily, you know. It's like when, like I was talking about the other day, if you have infinite money, you know, if you got an extra, like you play Eltharion, you get infinite cash, right? Like it's cool, it's challenging at the start when you're trying to get to that point where you have the infinite money going. But once you've got the infinite money going, you realize that you've just taken away the economy part of the game. So you've just actually, like, the economy is one of the parts of the game that you interact with, which is interesting and fun and rewarding when you do it well and all that, you know. So if you have infinite money, then you're just removing gameplay, you know what I mean? So it's like, oh, I've got infinite money, maybe I should have infinite firepower, maybe I should have infinite hit points, maybe I should have infinite movement, like, you know what I mean? Every time you have infinite whatever, you're just removing infinite movement there. Now if you use map exploits, now you don't, like movement exploits, now you don't get to interact with the movement mechanic and trying to be in the right place at the right time. That's gone. You know, if you have like undefeatable battle mechanics, undefeatable armies, then that, you know, then the battles are gone. You know, so yeah, it's sort of like a bit of a like be careful what you wish for type of situation. You know, you want these things that make your life easier or more fun or whatever, but then you know it can be a curse as well. You know, and I think that was a bit of an example of that. You know, it's like. Oh, it's really annoying how my units stop firing all the time. Oh, we'll just make it so they never stop firing. They always fire no matter what you do. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but then that removes that whole, like having a good formation that you've thought about and set up perfectly and stuff, and then you see it actually works. You know, that's where the reward comes from tactical gameplay. You know, so yeah, cool. Well, they've rolled that back. I'd rather have more technical formations that take planning. Yeah, me too, Gary. Me too. So. That's cool. They suddenly removed the mechanic Total War has had for 20 years. Yeah, I know. It's a bit weird. Vlad and Isabella will be a hero in the other army. Yeah, maybe I will just read through the whole lot of it again. No, I won't read through the whole lot of it again. I'll do a recap because I want to just feel those emotions that I felt the first time I read through it and I got all excited and stuff. But yeah, so Be'lakor is going to be part of the Warriors of Chaos faction. So yeah, so people were saying how it was surprising that he wasn't like a Demons of Chaos faction, but no, Be'lakor is going to be a Warriors of Chaos faction. But it has said that he's going to have the widest selection of Chaos demons, allowing him to assemble entire armies of demonic might without the need of petty mortals. It says allowing him to assemble, so it doesn't say that he can only have demons, so presumably he can still have mortal followers as well. But yeah, he's going to have access to the widest selection of chaos demons. So I thought that was also interesting about what that says about Kholek and Archaon, because I imagine Archaon would also have available demons from every faction, right? So like Archaon should be able to get Bloodthirsters, Archaon should be able to get Great Unclean Ones, Archaon should be able to get Keepers of Secrets and whatever, you know. From what I understand of his lore, he's the ever chosen, he's the big bad of chaos, uniting all of the forces of chaos together into an unstoppable horde, etc. So he should have access to all of the greater demons, you know. So yes, I'm sort of wondering if he's got less access to demons than Be'lakor. What is it that he's got that's what is it that Archaon can't get? But yeah, anyway, Be'lakor starts off at the Isle of Wight in Albion. So he starts in Albion, just south of Norsca. He has but one aim: to embark on a crusade of destruction. I'm not sure. I mean, this is another one of those things where I'm sure that means something. Like that's a hint towards what his campaign is about, but we don't know what that means exactly. But yeah, so I'm guessing, like, somebody confirmed that he's not. Well, I guess it confirms right there. It begins in the settlement on the Isle of Wight. So yeah, I didn't read that. So he's definitely not a horde faction, right? So what's his crusade of destruction? Does he get like points every time he raises something? Maybe. Well, the rest of his campaign mechanics will be revealed alongside the eagerly anticipated Warriors of Chaos update. Here are a couple of his key features to look forward to. Unholy manifestations. So he has unholy manifestations like the demon factions. Exists 4 unholy manifestations, one for each of the chaos gods. And one of them is to be able to open rifts that allow him to teleport across the Immortal Empires map. So yeah, so there was some speculation about whether there was going to be rifts in Immortal Empires, and I was saying no, there won't be, and I don't want there to be. But there will be, apparently, for Be'lakor. So Be'lakor is going to have rifts. So that is crazy. I wonder, and that's his Tzeentch aligned manifestation. So yeah, I wonder if there's any chance that they will change Kairos to have one of Kairos's unholy manifestations to give Kairos rifts as well. That would be, yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. But yeah, so Be'lakor is going to be a teleport across the mortal plane. I feel like that could be really cool because I feel like Be'lakor is going to be sort of like the Oxyotl of Chaos. You know, he's going to be like the evil version of Oxyotl. Where Oxyotl has this mechanic where he can kind of teleport across the world to places all over the map. Whereas Be'lakor is going to be able to kind of do his own version of that. So I feel like that's you know, like Oxyotl, for me, Oxyotl's like the only Lizardman faction I really play, because his mechanics are so much more exciting and powerful and dynamic compared to all of the other Lizardman factions. And I think on the Immortal Empires map, because it's so big, right? Because that's the wrong map. Where is it? Is that the one? Yeah, I think this is the one. Because the map's so big, right? Excuse me. Oxyotl's mechanics are sort of like more like trying to like fit it in there. Oh yeah, I can't really see very well, but Oxyotl's right down here, at the bottom. Excuse me. No frog in my throat. Yeah, so like Oxyotl's like, especially on this big map, the ability to just randomly teleport to places like all the way across the other side of the map is going to be like just really cool. Like, and it's just going to give you, like, if you're into that kind of like teleport to totally different location on the other side of the world or whatever, like Oxyotl's the man, you know. And yeah, Bellicor is going to apparently be able to do that as well. So it's kind of cool how Bellicor starts up here in Albion and Oxyotl starts down here, and both of them are going to be like teleporting around the map to like random locations. And then so it's sort of like almost like a bit of a, I don't know, I'm imagining some kind of like Highlander. There can be only one situation where they're both teleporting around the map, like assassinating other lords and causing carnage until eventually they run into each other, you know. What about Manfred? Vlad and Isabella have their faction named Sylvania, and Manfred is going to be looking for the books of Nagash in box my description. Yeah, we talked about that a bit earlier, Saragoth. Yeah, so Manfred's most likely going to be in the Southlands with I'm thinking. Excuse me. Bellicor's unholy ability to corrupt those who stand against him. When he defeats human lords in battle, he can mark them with chaos, slowly corrupting their soul and eventually converting them into a demon prince to reinforce the ranks of his army. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's so crazy, you know? That's such a crazy ability. I assume that you won't be able to do this to legendary lords, or that there'll be like a special that makes it harder or something to do it versus legendary lords. I don't know. But yeah, that's really cool. It's cool from the like it sounds like pretty crazy, like could be pretty overpowered, but also just from the point of view of it being like a totally new mechanic that's like just, you know, no one else has got anything like that, you know, like you can corrupt enemy lords and convert them into units, like into like your own faction, like or whatever, you know, like convert them into a different type of lord. You know, like it's not like you're confederating them. It's like you're converting them into a demon that you then add to your faction. So yeah, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Demon Prince Karl Franz would be awesome. Yeah, for sure. And I wonder if you'll get to use like the Demon Prince mechanics to change their body parts and all that kind of stuff. That'd be crazy. It's noted that they're human though. Yeah, but human includes like Cathay, Empire, Bretonia, and Norsca, right? And Kislev, sorry. So there's more human factions than there are anything else. So there's a lot of humans around that you can do it. Don't think you can change legendary lords. Yeah, I don't know. I would assume there's either you can't do it to legendary lords, or there's like a special thing that makes it harder for you to do it on legendary lords. But yeah, dedication to the chaos. So it's sort of weird. It's like corrupt those who stand against him. When he defeats the lord in battle, he can mark them with chaos, slowly corrupting their soul and converting them to a demon prince eventually. So it's sort of like the mark of Slaanesh that you get, that Slaanesh factions give to enemies when they defeat them in battle, but it's got this extra like converting thing going on, which is pretty cool. It'd be cool if there's some sort of, if you play as a human faction, if there's some sort of mechanic that you can get like corruption onto you as well, and how you can deal with that. That'd be pretty cool. Chaos gifts, sacrosanct. The warriors are bestowed on holy gifts, by offering defeated souls to the gods. Warriors of chaos can unlock powerful but limited rewards, which boost their proficiency in battle or grant demonic reinforcements. That's cool. Dedicated factions. Yeah, so this was the other one that was really pretty mind-blowing. So embarking on a pilgrimage, Volkmar now resides... abandoning the petty squabbles of the Elector Counts in favor of sealing away the abominable Books of Nagash. Volkmar now resides in the lower Southlands. So the Books of Nagash, which is the Tomb King's mechanic, where they conquer certain settlements to reclaim the Books of Nagash, and each one has a like bespoke power boost or ability like that it gives to your faction. So basically, it seems like they're going to give the Books of Nagash faction mechanic to Volkmar in addition to his, presumably in addition to his Empire mechanics. Although maybe not. Maybe they're gonna. Maybe Volkmar's gonna lose his Empire mechanics. That'd be interesting, actually. Yeah, because maybe they're gonna take away Volkmar's elector count mechanic and make him more like Wolfheart, so he's sort of like separate from that. Oh yeah, so it says abandoning the petty squabbles of the elector counts. So that's what they're literally saying. He's gonna lose the Empire management mechanic with the yeah. He's gonna lose the elector counts mechanics. Okay, that's interesting. But yeah, he can always go back and just confederate them the way that Marcus does. I really hope that you have elector units dilemmas like you have with Marcus. Yeah, that'd be interesting actually if they give him similar like imperial supply units like Marcus Wolfheart. That'd be really cool. Like Volkmar could be my new favorite. I hope that the Empire mechanics get an update as well. I feel like the elector count mechanics, like they're not exactly how I would imagine them being implemented, but I'm happy that I'm really happy that there's something like that. Like I really hated the way it was before the elector count mechanics came out, and there was nothing representing the fact that the Empire is supposed to be a powerful confederation, not just the Empire is not meant to be conquered by Karl Franz and all under the one banner, and it's not meant to be a whole bunch of completely separate factions that are just as likely to go to war with each other as they are to help each other. It's meant to be a confederation where they're all, basically on the same team, but they squabble with each other and stuff like that. And if you either conquer all of the Empire or you leave them all as separate factions, both of those things are not right to me. They both irk me, So I'm happy that there is a mechanic, but I feel like it could still be improved more. And I feel like, yeah, like for me, I want to be able to play the Empire as separate entities. Like I want to play Karl Franz as the Emperor, leave all of the other existing elector counts on the map and interact with them all and try to get them to support me while I do campaigns and stuff like that. I realize that that's never going to work. It's never going to be optimal. It's never going to be a powerful way to play the game, but that's always what I'm imagining when I'm thinking of my perfect Empire campaign. So yeah, I wish they would drop the elector count mechanic from Gelt 2. Yeah, actually I think that makes sense as well. They should drop the elector count mechanic from Gelt 2, and they should move Gelt somewhere else as well. Like, because we could have more Empire spread around the map, I feel like they could put Gelt somewhere else as well. There's no need for him to be in there. I feel like they should do an elector count DLC. They should do elector count DLCs later on. They should make like Marius Leitdorf, if they're not too worried about the timeline and they're happy to like pull Marius Leitdorf back from the dead or whatever, then they should put Marius Leitdorf in for Averland. They should put Boris in for Middenland. And maybe, Toddy, exactly. They should definitely get Toddy in there. I feel like sooner or later, he's got to come. We've got to get the Knights of the White Wolf. We've got to get the Teutonic Guard. We've got to get the Priests of Ulrich. Hey, Red Bull. And so, yeah, I feel like I really want the Empire to have their iconic elector count guys, and to also fill out those other elector count province armies, with their bit more unique flavor and stuff like that. Wolf priests would be cool. Yeah, wolf priests would be cool. And priests of Tal, priests of Shalia, priests of Moor, death priests. They could totally do like so much with the Empire. The Empire is so cool. And yeah, anyway, long story short, I'd love it if they did like at least bare minimum, like Boris and maybe Marius Leitdorf, Averland. But really I'd love to see like a few, like all of the elector counts, or a few more of them, right? and then get Gelt out of there, put him somewhere else on a mission, traveling somewhere around the world, and yeah, just have all the elector counts. The elector counts are the ones that are interested in the politics. Have all the elector counts have the elector count mechanic, which would by then be much upgraded and possibly unrecognizable compared to what it is now, you know. And then just have the other like heroes of the Empire, like if they have like Vultan and Huss, what's his name? Somebody Huss. You know, those warrior priest guys, you know, there's lots of heroes of the Empire they could have wandering around the place. But anyway, but yeah, so this was the other kind of mind-blowing bit. So Volkmar is now going to have the Books of Nagash. He's going to lose the elector count mechanic, and he's going to go to the Southlands. And it also says, unlike the Tomb Kings, which we already know have the Book of Nagash mechanic, unlike the Tomb Kings and Manfred von Carstein, it's not the books themselves that offer the individual effects, rather the acts of sealing the books away that increases his zeal, strengthening the boons and power granted to Volkmar. So basically, Volkmar's still got to get the books, the same as everybody else, but he's just destroying the books instead of like using the books for power. But it says, unlike the Tomb Kings and Manfred. So I assume that means that Manfred is going to just have exactly the same effect from the books as the Tomb Kings. So yeah, so I'm guessing that's like they're just going to like do an easy port, directly port the Tomb Kings mechanic for the books onto Manfred, and they're basically going to do a direct port of the Tomb Kings mechanic onto Volkmar, except for they're going to give Volkmar different like good guy boons instead of evil boons, basically. And you'd imagine they wouldn't be as powerful, but I don't know. Maybe I assume that for fun, like in terms of fun in the gameplay, they'll make them just as powerful. Some of the books increase unit caps, so they'll probably be different from Manfred. Oh, actually, okay, yeah, that's a really good point, Monkey Man Fu. I'm not that familiar with Tomb King, so yeah, good call. So Manfred probably will have bespoke ones. I wonder if they'll keep the ones that the same that are, like the ones that apply to both, they'll just keep them the same, and they'll only give him some new ones just for those parts, you know, just for the like unit caps, or just for the things that can't apply to Manfred's factions. They'll give him new ones, but they'll leave the rest the same. Be cool if a game gave him more ranged units. Yeah, that could be cool. Grombrindal, known for his hatred of the sadistic Dark Elves, following Malekith's instigation of the War of the Beards, Grombrindal moves to Naggaroth. There he stages his armies to enact revenge upon the Witch King. Okay, so there's no mention of mechanics here. I'm looking at everything with more of a microscope now. I'm like going back after we found that part where it says abandoning the petty squabbles of the elector counts. I didn't pick up that was saying that he's going to lose the elector count mechanic, but now that I reread it, it's like that's clearly what it's saying. But yeah, so with Grombrindal, I think that they're basically saying he's not going to get any new mechanics. Like this is just there's nothing here that mentions anything about the mechanics, right? I wouldn't be surprised if in his skill tree they give him some more stuff that gives him extra damage against Dark Elves, or they give him an extra like Lord faction trait or something that gives him like make him do extra damage against Dark Elves or extra bonuses against Dark Elves or something. But yeah, there's basically like nothing in here about his mechanics that I can imagine. Dwarfs in a Dark Elf infested land. Yeah, that would be a hard campaign. Yeah, yeah, true. Oh well, those Iron Drakes are going to be burning some Dark Elves. Look forward to that. It'll be, yeah, man, Grombrindal's campaign is going to be so different because, like, literally everything is armor piercing. Yeah, I know, those dark shards, that's going to be nasty. Because, like, playing Grombrindal versus the Greenskins, he's super powerful because the Greenskins are so melee focused, and he's got that, like, Ironhard Dwarf Warrior melee line, and then he's got that Iron Drakes combined with missile fire to just grind up the enemy melee. But if they're shooting you from range that outranges the, like, Dark Shards outrange the Iron Drakes, right? So yeah, I don't know, yeah, I feel like Grombrindal's campaign could be pretty rough, actually. That'd be interesting. I don't even know what you would, like, what would you even build? Like, if you're playing dwarfs against Dark Elves, like, what would you even do? Like, I don't even know. They'd be in deep shit, wouldn't they? I guess you want some artillery. Hey, Musa. Long time no see. Yeah, haven't seen you for a while, man. Thanks for still being still a member. I see you got your veteran Kruger head rocking there. So yeah, appreciate the support, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, thanks Liz for still being a member/mod. What else we got here? Nigel Briggs, welcome back, man. Nolan, hey man. Good. Everyone's coming out. I think that's like yeah, everyone's getting more excited now because Immortal Empires is coming, right? Andrew Jones, Verinx, both long-time members as well. Post-humor. I think I said hi to most of you guys on the way through, but I just sort of do a bit of a recap, make sure I say hello to everybody. But yeah, no, good to see you guys, and yeah, thanks so much for still supporting the channel after all this time. I really appreciate it. I don't have much money, but I'm a member by heart. Yeah, no worries, Zeragloth. I recognize your name, even though it's not green. It's green in my mind's eye. Hey Nolan. But yeah, so yeah, no, that's a good point. I think Grombrindal's start's gonna keep. Ugh, it's gonna be rough. I wonder if. So I see another thing about the dwarfs for me. Let's go check out the map again. So with the dwarfs, like one of the things, like, so they actually, where is Silver? There's Silver Road's up here, right? So Silver Road. Should I zoom in again? Yeah, whatever. So yeah, Silver Road's up here, right? And like Grombrindal and Thorgrim start here. So in Mortal Empires. So normally I start off as Grombrindal. This is my favorite dwarf lord probably. And although I'm sort of tired with Belegar, Belegar's pretty strong now, and I do quite enjoy Belegar. I've got a video on my channel, 2-turn Rune of Spite video for Belegar. Shows you how to get a really strong start with Belegar if you're into the sort of hero hammer type gameplay, leveraging Belegar's like powerful heroes that he starts off with and making them even more powerful. But anyway, yeah, so Silver Road is like Karakate Peaks. That's the Dwarven homeland, right? So I feel like that's like the vanilla dwarf experience, you know what I mean? Like Thorek is cool and everything. Like Thorek's really powerful. He's the new exciting dwarf on the block and all that. But he starts off like way down here in Shitsville, like that's not like far away from like Karakate Peaks. So I feel like he's not like it's like I feel like it's not the proper dwarf experience. Like the proper dwarf experience is starting on Silver Road, having Grimgore all up in your grits like straight away, having like the bloody spears coming down from the north, having the I can't remember what they call those other minor faction orcs coming at you from the east. And if you manage to survive that for long enough, Wurzag will start rocking up on your doorstep and wrecking you as well. And you know, you're just like surrounded by this tide of greenskins, and just behind them is a tide of fucking Skaven that are trying to wipe you out, you know. And it's just like the quintessential like dwarf experience. I was just about to say, hey Dimitri, it looks like you want to get banned. And then like Liz was like, ban hammer. Good job, Liz. Yeah, like, so anyway, like I'm waffling on, but yeah, basically I'm saying like Karakate Peaks is like the proper dwarf start for me, I feel like. And so I always play Grombrindal. But now Grombrindal's moving up to near Malekith, right? So up here somewhere. I'm like, I mean, I still probably like Grombrindal a bit better than Thorgrim, but the fact that he doesn't start in the Dwarven start means that, like, I don't know, he's out now. He's not my favorite anymore. I feel like that's upgraded Thorgrim now from like being like 4th best to like 3rd best now maybe. And Belegar's probably moved up to number 1 now because Belegar can just come over here and confederate Thorgrim. So then you get Belegar and Thorgrim. And then you can usually probably get Thorek fairly easily and get Ungrim pretty easily. Whereas if you start off as Grombrindal, you can't confederate anybody, right? Because that's the other thing with the whole that's another thing with the shipping lanes thing. Like with the shipping lanes, I don't know if I've got a good map of the shipping lanes. What's it called? Warhammer 3 Sea Lanes. It's not the one. Is it this one? Yeah. So this is the Sea Lanes map, right? And so you can see that you can get from Naggarond to the western side of the map. You can get from the western side of the map to the eastern side of the map. you can get to the eastern side of the map to the southern western side of the map, and you can get from the southern eastern side of the map to the southern southeastern side of the map. But all of these factions that are in the center, which is the main sort of theater of the game for me, do not have access to sea lanes, right? The old world, there's no sea lanes anywhere near. Like, you have to invade Nagaron. You have to sail over and invade the Dark Elf lands to get access to a sea lane, right? There's no sea lanes like anywhere near you, you know? So basically, for the dwarfs now, in terms of confederation, Grombrindal's out of it now. Grombrindal's not part of the team anymore. He's like so far away that he's not going to be able to confederate anyone unless he's got that's a good point, Reguna. Gromby could have a mechanic of helping far away Dawi, so they could do something for him like they did with Thorek, so that instead of so that he's got another faction that he's associated with that he can confederate if he wants to basically like teleport back to the dwarfs. I hope they do that, because as much as like I do want to go and kill Malekith, I do want to kind of have my Dawi Empire in like the Badlands, which is kind of going to be around here. And I feel like if you start off as like Belegar is like the main man for Confederation, because he gets a bonus to relations with other dwarfs, and also just the way his faction mechanics work is good for Confederations in Warhammer 2. But Confederation in Warhammer 2 is wildly different from Confederation in Warhammer 3. So we don't know if any of that's really going to apply anymore. But in Warhammer 2, Belegar is like the best confederator for dwarfs. In Warhammer 3, there's I don't know if we really understand fully how the confederations work in Warhammer 3, but there's a few things about it. Like, there's basically a huge malice. Like, there's a huge negative for confederating any of the other legendary lords. Like, if you want to confederate a minor faction, you'll find they're quite easy to confederate, just like minor factions are easy to confederate in pretty easy to confederate in Warhammer 2. But if you're trying to confederate one of the other major factions, like if you're playing as Cathay and you're trying to confederate like Miao Ying when you're playing as Zhao Ming, it's very hard. It's extremely hard. Like, it is doable, but it's like not reliably. Well, I don't know. Maybe Dash Dash would disagree with me, but it seems to me like it's not really reliably doable. It's like, you could probably do it if you do a bunch of fairly extreme stuff, but it's not easy like it is in Warhammer 2. So So the other thing I'm really interested to find out is when they do Immortal Empires, if they're going to change that, if they're going to get rid of that huge malice to make it easier to confederate, if that was an intentional design change, they don't want us to be able to confederate like basically at all. Like, that would be a really interesting design change, because a lot of people, myself included, we play with a sort of collect them all mentality. Like, if I'm playing, like what I was just talking about now, if I'm playing as the dwarfs, I kind of like, my vision of my end game is that I'm going to kind of have all of the dwarf lords, right? At some point, like I'll start like the early game flavor of playing as Grombrindal and burning orcs with my Iron Drakes and everything. That's like my early game, but my vision of way later in the campaign is that I have all my legendary lords. Maybe they're all like commanding different corners of my empire, leading their own separate campaigns or whatever, or maybe they're tag teaming together, and and that's kind of what Immortal Empires is like. Like, especially like if you play a High Elves, Empire, Dwarfs, Dark Elves, all those factions are very like Confederation happy. Like if you play them, you expect to have confederated multiple, if not all of their lords by the end of the campaign. But in Warhammer 3, you can't really confederate the other lords. It's very difficult. So, and it'd be interesting if they'd actually intentionally changed it to be like that. Like, I often suspected like that maybe they didn't intend for the factions to be so easy to confederate, and that was sort of like an accident. But then because people liked confederating so much, they kind of let it be easy. They kind of kept it that way. And then I was wondering if but maybe that was not really intended to be that way. And then maybe in Warhammer 3, they're like, okay, let's go back to the original design theory where we make it so it's extremely hard to confederate. And you basically, if you choose one faction, you basically play as that faction, you don't get the other legendary lords. If you want to play as, if you start off as Grombrindal and you want to play as Belegar, you start a new campaign and start as Belegar, So I don't know. I'm very interested to see what they do with the confederations. Anyway, long story short. Sounds to me that the greenskins will be very powerful from a confederation point of view. Yeah, well, sorry, yeah, greenskins are confederators. Norska's really good at confederating as well. They don't have very many lords, but yeah. So yeah, it's, but in Warhammer 3 currently there's not many lords in Warhammer 3, but the ones that there are, they're not very easy to confederate. So what else we got here? Just sort of we're doing a reread now to see if we pick up any more secrets that didn't pick up the first time around. Helmengorst, Caravan of the Blue Roses. So Helmand's moving. So Manfred, we suspect, is moving south into the Southlands. Helmengorst, ever clinging to the hope of discovering necromancies that could bring his brothers back to life, Helmengorst has moved eastward in order to be closer to the coveted Nagashazar fortress. So I'm just trying to think if any of this could hint towards any kind of mechanic. Ever clinging to hope of discovering necromancies that could bring his brothers back to life, Helmengorst has moved eastwards in order to be closer to the Nagashazar coveted Nagashazar fortress. Oh, okay, yeah. So that was the thing that was confusing me about this. So I was saying, like, if he moves eastwards, so this is Sylvania where he is currently. If he moves directly eastward from there, he'd be in the Blasted Wastes, which is like not really anywhere close to Nagashazar fortress. It's not even really closer at all, you know. Maybe it's a tiny bit, you know. But if he moves a bit more like southeast, like if maybe he moves to like the Wolflands or maybe he moves way over. Maybe he moves over to here. Actually, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? If they put him like way over here or something in the Howling Wastes, then he would be closer to Nagashazar. But anyway, closer to the coveted fortress of Nagashazar. So I'm assuming Belagar mechanic occupying Nagashazar. That's exactly where I was going, Raguna. So I'm guessing that's a hint to his mechanic. So his mechanic is going to be something along the lines of he has to take over Nagashazar in order to unlock the technology that he needs to, you know, resurrect his brothers or something. So he's gonna have some sort of mechanic, kind of like Belagar, where once he takes that city, you know, either he gets rid of a malice that he's got that's giving a penalty in the campaign, he gets a bonus, or he's able to build a special, unique landmark building in Nagashazar that the other factions can't. One thing about this though is that so it's like his mechanic is that he has to do a migration campaign to Nagashazar. I'm guessing that's what they're saying. It's just a guess. It could be something else. But yeah, the thing with Nagashazar is though, Nagashazar sucks. Like Nagashazar is like this weird spiral of mountains that's like super difficult to traverse in terms of movement. And Gelt doesn't have an underway mechanic, right? Well, it doesn't have an underway mechanic in Warhammer 2. It'd be crazy if they gave Helmengorst and some sort of underway mechanic. But yeah, if you want to operate in Nagashazar in Warhammer 2, you really need to have an underway mechanic because it's terrible. Like it's these mountains everywhere. It's like really hard to get around. Nagashazar is really good to Vamps. Well, no, that's what I'm saying, Edge Device. It's not really. Like it's got a good landmark building for Vamps, but it's super far away. It's super inconvenient to get to, and once you do take it over, it's super inconvenient to hold it because it's like unfriendly territory, and it's like not and like it's just the movement basically. Like your movement's screwed there. It's a place that's built for like orcs and dwarves and Skaven. You know, like you need underway stance to be able to get into it and get out of it. I think it takes like, if you're like right next to Nagashazar, it takes like 6 turns to walk into it because you got to go all the way around, and you know. Whereas if you have underway, you just underway straight in there. So I don't know. I wonder if they're going to redesign the whole Nagashazar, the Nagashazar area to make it not so underway reliant, and maybe they'll make mountain territory one of his preferred areas or something. So if you're going to make a pilgrimage from one side of the map to the other to get to Nagashazar, you want it to be pretty good. Like when you get there, you want that to be actually pretty optimal for your faction. You would hope, if you get to the chosen land or whatever. But yeah, so that's interesting. It's impossible to defend from factions with underway when you're away. I experienced that with Arkan. Like, yeah, that's the other thing too. If you have Skaven attacking you, like you can't, like they can underway under there and attack you, and you can't attack them back because on the other hand, what I did was I just put 2 armies there, or I just put one really powerful army there, because if they underway in, they can't attack on the same turn, so you can just lightning strike them to death. But it's still like you basically have to keep a permanent defense. Yeah, exactly. You have to basically have a doom stack that just sits on Nagashazar defending it the whole time, and it's just it's not very convenient. So anyway, that was just one thought I had about it. If Nagashazar is his main thing to do, that's going to kind of suck for him. But everyone hates Helm and Ghost anyway, so fuck him, basically. Vlad and Isabella. Oh, Isabella. We love you. Everyone seeks you out to kill you and take your coveted blood to give us regeneration. Nagashazar was never a mountain region, it was a wasteland, but it's kind of hard to get there. Is wasteland friendly territory for undead? I know dwarves can settle in wasteland, no problem. I'm not sure about undead though. Vlad and Isabella. So unlike other legendary lords, this power couple will be staying together in undead matrimony, but will be playable within the same campaign. Well, they already are playable in the same campaign, but the difference is now they're going to be playable within the same army. If you choose Vlad as your legendary lord, Isabella will automatically be unlocked as a hero, and vice versa. So yeah, so that's really cool. Okay. So one thing about them is that they're going to be staying together. So it specifically says that Helm and Ghost is moving. It doesn't say anything about Vlad and Isabella moving. So and every other faction that's moved, it's mentioned that they moved. So it didn't mention that they moved. So therefore, they're going to be staying in Sylvania. I'll be interested to see whether they still start off in Schwarzhafen, or if they actually start off just in Drakenhof now. I think it'll be fine for them to start off in Drakenhof. I mean, it's fine for them to start off in Schwarzhafen and take Drakenhof back. You could have like pretenders have occupied Vlad's castle. Actually, that would be good. I think they should probably do that though. They should keep Vlad starting off in Schwarzhafen, but they should make it so that like a generic no-name faction owns Drakenhof, or they can make it so that Manfred has one of those dual occupancy type situations, kind of like Lockyer and sort of like Malice and Altharion, so that he has like his home province in Drakenhof and he has another province in the Southlands, and that way you can either, if your buddy is Manfred, you can either like abandon your quest to the south and just come home and fight Vlad to confederate him or whatever, or to stop him from taking Drakenhof, or you can just like abandon Drakenhof to Vlad, and then if you're Vlad, you're kind of coming back from the dead, and you've got that storyline of like the pretender Manfred having taken your birthright or whatever, and you just like kick him out and take over Drakenhof again. I hope that Vlad will start. I hope that they let us change the capital during the campaign. Yeah, that'd be a good idea, Zaragoth. I feel like it wouldn't be very hard for them to do it as well. Like when they do the start position stuff, like, I don't know if this works exactly like this, but like, currently, just say like you've got one place as your capital, but then if you lose that capital and you move somewhere else and resettle somewhere else, that new place will become your capital, right? But then if you ever retake your original capital, it zips back over there again. So I feel like, given that that's the case, even without giving us the ability to manually change our capital, they could make it so that, Drakenhof is the game recognizes Drakenhof as being your actual capital, but the start positions have you as having currently lost your starting capital, and your temporary capital is Schwarzhafen. So that as soon as you take Drakenhof, your capital will automatically move there. And have the same thing with Manfred. Have Manfred's like capital be Drakenhof, but he's lost it, and his temporary one is in the Southlands, so that if Manfred ever retakes Drakenhof, that becomes his capital again. And I think they should do that with all of the factions. That'd be really cool. Like Beligar, the game should recognize his capital as Karak Peaks, but have his start position have him as a temporary capital in what do you call it, Kholek Suneater. Blackwell says capital is now irrelevant. You can literally trade with everyone on the map since Warhammer 3 without having a trade route connecting them like Warhammer 2. Well, it's still relevant if you're a bit of a role player, you know what I mean? So maybe it's not as big of an issue now because you don't need it for, you don't need to have those trade connections to be as connected or whatever. But even if you don't need it for trade, like, I just don't like it. Like, if I'm playing as Belagar and Kholek Suneater is my capital after I've taken Kholek Apex, it's just bullshit, right? Like, the whole point of the fucking game, if you're playing Belagar, is that Kholek Apex is his homeland, is his capital, you know what I mean? And, like, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, like, maybe if it doesn't matter with trade or whatever, like, that's a separate issue. But, like, having that big, like, crest thing around Kholek Suneater, saying that Kholek Suneater is your capital when you're the king of Kholek Apex, like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, and it's the same for all factions for me. Like, it feels wrong, like, if you're, like, playing as the Empire and you've got your capital in Solent or whatever, but you can't trade territory and buy someone's capital. Yeah, actually that's true, so it doesn't matter in that way. You can't buy someone's capital. I don't think that Kairos can do I don't think Kairos can do his siege mechanics to steal your capital either. Your capital is, like, immune from being stolen by Zeech as well. But yeah, that's interesting, that thing about the trade routes thing. Is that another example of kind of what we were talking about before, where, like, they've made it easier? Because, like, people were complaining, like, it's really hard to get trade routes because, I should have trade route to this place, but for some reason I can't because the roads or because the fjord or across the river doesn't kick in or something. And so you don't have access to trade. But then, like, it sort of takes away the fact, like, that strategic element of actually capturing, like, because in Warhammer 2, you'll actually capture specific settlements so that you can get an unbroken trade lane to the water so that you can unlock sea trade with the rest of the map, Whereas if you don't need to do that anymore, then, like, I feel like if they wanted to make the trade system better, they could make it so that your trade would be enhanced depending on how good your trade lanes are. So, like, if you're playing as Bordello and your capital is on the ocean and you've got a special building there that gives you extra trade and you've got a faction bonus that gives you extra sea trade and whatever, and you've got access to the whole map or whatever, then that's great. You'll have really good trade, If you're, like, playing as Kholek Apex and you're totally landlocked and you're totally surrounded by enemies and you've got no access to anyone, then maybe you'd have no trade, or maybe you'd have, like, extremely limited trade. Like, you can set up a trade agreement with Kholek Suneater, right, to trade with Belagar, right? But it's so difficult for your trade caravans to get through the orc-infested lands and everything that you only get a tiny little dribble of, like, 5 gold per turn, right? But then if you, like, kill all of those orcs that are in between you and Kholek Suneater, and create an unbroken land bridge of dwarfs until you get to the border princes that's neutral, then all of a sudden full trade is unlocked and you can trade better or whatever, But you still have to pay, like, tariffs and shit along the way to the border princes for your caravans to move through their lands. But then if you, like, wipe out the border princes, or if you form, like, a military alliance with the border princes, then the value of your trade thing would go up. Unbroken land bridge of dwarfs, yeah. So, like, I mean, they're not going to do that, because that would be, like, a whole bunch of extra work to build to make a trade thing that wouldn't really be a big budget. It wouldn't be a big banner item type thing that would get people to buy the game, But it would be those sort of little details like that are the sort of thing that just make the game feel so much deeper and more awesome. And that's how I'd love it to be anyway. So that, like, the quality of the trade connection would increase the amount of trade that you got, and that way people would still get, like, it'd open up a whole other avenue of strategizing, you know what I mean? Like, with certain factions, it'd be quite attractive to try to create trade empires and figure out how you can maximize your income from trade, and then militarily how you can, like, defend your trade routes, and it's sort of like a whole different thing. Instead of instead of taking and defending territory, you're setting up and defending trade routes and trade partners and stuff. You know, like I don't know, just an idea. So yeah, so there's that, and then there's also the fact that they're making these guys lords into heroes, and the fact that they're interchangeable. So if you play as Vlad, Isabella's a hero. If you play Isabella, Vlad's a hero. So so this concept of like some characters are legendary lords, some characters are legendary heroes. Now they're playing around with this a bit, right? So these characters are both legendary lords and legendary heroes. So, you know, so the first thing that occurs to me with that is, what does this mean for Gotrek, right? What does this mean for Gotrek and possibly other legendary heroes like Ariel and that tree dude. Gulon, I can't remember his name. You know, the Dryker's tree guy. You know, like, could Ariel be another fact? Could they bring in another? Could they do a free LC to make Ariel like a legendary lord as well? Coadil, that's him. Thanks, Inquisitor Chase. You know, and with Gotrek, like, well, the first thing that I think with this is that maybe Gotrek could be a hero, or I don't know. Is there any way that you could like do it so you could switch Gotrek between being a hero and a lord in game? Probably not, I guess. Oh, what they could do is when you build, if you build the tap room or whatever, and then you get the Gotrek dilemma, then you move on to the Gotrek dilemma little blue circle, right, to trigger it, and then instead of it saying like, do you want to hire them or do you want to leave them alone, it's like, do you want to hire Gotrek to be an adventurer and go out and like seek treasures and do shit, in which case Gotrek and Felix will both come onto the map as heroes, or do you want Gotrek to lead one of your armies and help defend your lands, in which case Gotrek will come on as a lord and then and Felix will still come on as a hero. So that'd be cool. So you can basically just like, every time you hire Gotrek, you can choose whether he's going to be a hero or a lord, and then for the next 30 turns or however long you get to keep him for, he stays as a lord or hero, whichever one you choose. That'd be cool to be able to put Gotrek and Felix both in the same, because I feel like it sort of makes sense that Gotrek could lead an army, but he's not really a general, you know. He kind of just does his own thing most of the time. But I mean, he could lead an army, I guess. He would just do his thing, and the army would just follow him, I guess. But a lot of times, like, you know, you'd like, it'd be more appropriate for him to just be, for them two to be a couple of heroes just in the army along, like following, you know, another, like an Empire Lord or somebody. Main output. Why would you not pick him as a lord though? Well, for so in Warhammer 2, you basically would always pick Gotrek as a lord unless you're playing as Bretonnia, because the powerful thing about Gotrek is that he doesn't have any supply lines. So he's really powerful for early game Empire, because he lets you and dwarfs, because he lets you have a secondary army without any extra supply lines. So it sort of means that if you want to, especially if you want to have 1.5 stacks, like just say you've got like 20 units, right? You got a perfect one full stack, then you're not getting any supply lines. As soon as you get one more unit, you get a lord. You have to hire a second lord, costs you another 300 gold per turn, plus the extra unit costs you another 150 gold per turn. So it's like, you know, whatever, 400 gold, 450 gold per turn. Plus you have to pay 15% extra on, at least on legendary, on your entire other stack, which is going to put your whole army up, like your whole thing up by another 600 gold. So it's like, so it's basically cost you like 1,000 gold extra just to get like one extra single unit, right? But if you got Gotrek doesn't have any upkeep costs, and he doesn't have any supply lines. So you can just get one extra unit of swordsmen, put them with Gotrek, and then now you've got like 21 units plus Gotrek, you know? So Gotrek's really powerful at the moment because he gives you, like, lets you avoid supply lines for that second army. So it just makes that kind of jump from just being a single army faction to being a double army faction much easier and faster and quicker. And moving from a one army faction to a 2 army faction makes you indestructible. Like you're basically undefeatable at that point. You can just conquer everything. So it's pretty like as long as you're on the offense. I mean, if you have two armies moving together, going around double 2 stacks onto one in the early game, like turn 30 or whatever, like you're basically going to crush everything. So it's pretty powerful. But if you're playing as Bretonia, they don't have supply lines, right? So there's no point having an extra lord, Gotrek as a lord, and Gotrek is a shit lord, right? Gotrek doesn't have any blue line. He doesn't have any skills. He doesn't get the he doesn't get level ups. You can't level him up. Like he's a bad lord, right? The only thing that's good about him is that he avoids supply lines. So if you're playing as Bretonia, don't have supply lines, there's no point using Gotrek as a lord. But also, in addition to that, in Warhammer 3, the supply lines penalty on Legendary is only 4%, not 15%. So in Warhammer 2, it's a no-brainer. Anything that lets you avoid that 15% Legendary penalty for supply lines is extremely, extremely valuable. In Warhammer 3, it's only 4%. It's a bit like, does it even matter? Like 4% is kind of close to 0, isn't it? You know, so it's still like a thing, but it's not as big of a deal. So I guess that's why but it's mainly for me. It's mainly the role playing thing, I guess. But yeah, and you could use the two of them as heroes going around like investigating ruins and stuff like that. The other thing too that they could do is like if you put Gotrek as a lord, he could have some different abilities. Whereas if you put him as a hero, then you can maybe give him like assault units, assassination, stuff like that, so that you can actually use him to go around and like take out enemy heroes and enemy lords. And you can have it so that if Felix is nearby, like in the same region, like Felix maybe has like a plus 10% success chance for other heroes in the local region, or plus 10% success chance for Gotrek's actions if Felix is in the same region as him. So you could send Felix off to explore somewhere else, but if you keep the two heroes together, they like protect each other, you know, like but like you have it like Gotrek makes Felix like, you know, any agent actions against Felix have like minus 25% chance to succeed if Gotrek's in the same region, or minus 100% or something, you know, and because Felix guards Gotrek's back, you know, you have like a minus 10% chance versus Gotrek or whatever, that kind of thing. Yeah, anyway, that'd be kind of cool. What about custom battles? Will we be able to build an army led by Lord Vlad and having Hero Vlad in it? Yeah, that's an interesting call, Sarioth. I'm not sure about that one. You think Isabella's and Vlad's defeat traits will be available when AI plays as Sylvania? Will one of them not be obtainable? I'm guessing that when the AI plays as Sylvania, they'll always play as Vlad and Isabella will always be a hero. And I'm guessing that if that's the case, then you won't be able to get Isabella's defeat trait. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they'll make it. Maybe they'll give you a hero defeat trait. There's no reason why you couldn't get a hero defeat trait, I don't think. Like I'm pretty sure they could probably program a trigger that would give you a legendary lord defeat trait when you defeat a particular hero. But I mean, I'm not sure, but it seems like they should be able to do that. Do you think they'll implement the reset skills for Confederated Legendary Lord with the Immortal Empire? What do you mean implement the reset skills? I don't think that was ever a proposed change, Javier. So yeah, no, I don't think they've ever discussed that, or if it's ever been. I don't think it's ever even been suggested. I mean, I know people have. I know there's a mod that does it, and I know people have asked for it, but I don't think it's ever been like talked about or anything. We can always count on Isabella, indeed. Sigvald, the Magnificent, the Decadent Host. Yeah, so Sigvald's got his new banner, which is his own face, of course. Armed with his disturbing yet angelic beauty, Prince Sigvald is now a force unto himself within the Warriors of Chaos. He reclines in pleasure in the northwestern Chaos Wastes, and has been bestowed with some tantalizing new features, such as the ability to seduce units, use seductive influence, and has access to Slaanesh's demonic breed. Yeah, so basically, his start position's moved from, he's not in the normal Chaos Warriors start location, he's now in the northwestern Chaos Wastes over near Malekith, I'm guessing. He reclines in he's been bestowed with some tantalizing new features, such as the ability to seduce units. So he'll be able to seduce units from enemy armies before he goes into battle, which is cool. As I was saying before, you can take either take one of their powerful units so that they can't use it on you, and then you can suicide that powerful unit back into them so they kill it themselves. Or you can, another thing I like to do is take one of their really tanky units and then use their own unit as the frontline tank to absorb all the damage for the battle, as much of the damage for the battle as I can. Especially if you're playing a high melee, a heavily melee focused army, your guys are going to take damage. Like melee armies take damage in combat. You can't just shoot them all to death without taking a single hit point of damage like you can when you're playing elves. So the ability to seduce enemy army and then use them as the tanks against their own forces is really cool. Also, it just kills one of their units basically. Like you just take one of their units and then you sacrifice that unit, and so you basically get to fight 21 against 19 if it's one stack versus one stack, which is pretty cool. Or you can just choose whichever's the most dangerous unit and eliminate it. There's always one unit that you're afraid of, like mortars or something, if you've got lots of unarmored infantry. So being able to take them out is really cool. And has access to Slaaneş's demonic breed. So yeah, so he gets access to demonettes and demonettes of Slaaneş, I'm sure, and probably the greater demon of Slaaneş, the keeper of secrets as well. I wonder if he'll also have access to Slaaneş mark Chaos Warriors, and maybe Marauders on Hellstriders and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm guessing he'll get a bunch of, I guess, yeah. I would imagine that he would get Hedonites of Slaaneş as well, yeah? Or would he not? No. Interesting. Because, I could imagine him leading Norskins, but I could also imagine he would definitely have access. You would think he would have access to the Hedonites of Slaaneş type Marauders as well. Yeah, it's really interesting trying to get our head around how the new Chaos Warrior faction is going to work, compared to the demons of compared to the old Warriors of Chaos, compared to the demons of Chaos monogods, and compared to the kind of undivided Demon Prince faction. Yeah, I guess they're all going to be different, but yeah. I wish they'd make Morathi use some of the Slaanesh mechanics like Sigvald did. I reckon there's a good chance they will do that ultra strategy, man. So they said it, there was a post. I can't remember where it was now. I would have liked to have quoted it, but there was a post that I read the other day, saying something along the lines of, every faction that's going into Immortal Empires has been rebalanced, and that they expect that we will feel like every faction is about the same, is going to be about the same strength. So they basically said that every faction will feel like about the same strength in Immortal Empires. It's not like one faction from Warhammer 1 will be dramatically weaker or whatever, What do you call a belt made out of $100 bills? A waste of money. Thanks, Hammond. Thanks for the super chat, man. Much appreciated. Yeah, so what my suspicion was that they were just going to dump all the factions into Immortal Empires with basically very minimal balancing, and it was just going to be a total schmozzle at launch. But that's fine. That's why they called it a beta, and then they were going to slowly fix it live while we're playing it. But I actually read a statement the other day where they were basically saying, no, that's not how it's going to be. They've actually gone through every faction and rebalanced every single faction to make it so that they're all on par for Immortal Empires. What happens if you put a watch on your belt? Nothing. It's just a waste of time. Oh dear. Dad jokes. Dad jokes are good, aren't they? I'm liking these dad jokes, Hammond. Well done. And thanks for the super chat, man. Very generous. What do you call it? Yeah, Yeah, I mean, no, yeah. So the point, yeah, they're not. Then I mean, obviously, there's going to be a difference in strength in different factions. Taurox obviously is going to still be one of the most powerful factions in the game, but not necessarily the most fun or necessarily one of my favorites at all. But definitely got very, very powerful with the ability to keep getting movement. Taurox and Scarbrand, are going to be still going to be overpowered, I imagine. But now the point I was trying to make is that I thought they were going to just dump them in, just with no effort done at all, basically. Just maybe do like 3 or 4 factions at a time, and then next update they'll update another 3 or 4 factions or whatever. But they've said that no, actually what they've done is they've actually already gone over every single faction. So that's really cool. Because that means that the game should be a lot more playable. Like I was sort of expecting that most of the factions would be broken at launch, and it would only be a couple of factions, like just the factions that they just updated would be proper, and the rest of the factions would be all fucked, right? That's kind of what I was expecting. But actually they've said no, they actually have already done a pass over every single faction, get them all up to about the same level, so that when they go into Immortal Empires, they're already going to be all good, So where I'm going with all this is, coming back to Marathi, is if they've gone and done a pass over every single faction, right? We've already seen what happened to Vlad and Isabella. We've already seen what happened to Grumbrindle. We've already seen what happened to Volkmar. And so these factions are 3 of the factions that have had that pass happen to them. Now, it may be that these guys got a much bigger update than the rest of the factions, and the other factions didn't get as much of an update. But like, if I interpreted that statement correctly, I wish I could find it now. I can't remember where it was from now, but yeah, one of the CA people said it. I think it was that new community manager that said it, maybe. But yeah, if they've gone over and they've rebalanced all of the factions to make them on par, right? What does that mean, right? It doesn't mean just changing power, just changing their units. Like, I mean, it could mean that they've buffed some damage on some units. They've made some other units tankier. They've changed, like, because of the change with magic resistance in Warhammer 3, with magic resistance not affecting magical weapon attacks. That requires rebalancing of all of the units, with their defenses and offense around relating to magic attack and physical resistance and stuff like that. So, obviously there will be changes to unit stats and everything, but really in terms of campaign mechanics and all that kind of thing, then yeah, they need to update they need to balance their campaign mechanics. They need to balance their lord traits, their lord skills, their skill trees, the way that, like how they updated Karl Franz's skill tree to give him that yellow line, because remember the original one factions never had a yellow, that never had that extra unique yellow line, and when they updated Karl Franz and Volkmar and gave them their extra unique yellow line, that was kind of to bring them up to date with Warhammer 2. So to bring them up to date with Warhammer 3, I guess the short version of what I'm saying is they could have done a lot more work on some of the factions. Like, I imagine some of the factions will have more, some of the factions will have less. But yeah, in terms of Marathi getting Slaanesh access to Slaanesh stuff, I feel like that could definitely be a thing. So yeah, and I would expect that. Yellow line, yeah, the yellow line is so the blue line is the bottom strategy layer in the Lord's skill tree. The red line is the middle layer that refers to bonuses to their units and everything. They generally have a yellow combat line, or sometimes they have a yellow spell line for spellcasters, I think. And then there's another, like in Warhammer 2, like there's kind of like another yellow line that has like unique skills. Man, my throat's been a bit fucked up the last few days. But yeah, so like that. I mean, I'm probably making more out of it than we've, like. There's not evidence to support what I just said. Then there's just like, I wonder if that's how it's going to be, kind of thing. But yeah, they did definitely say that. What I was saying, that they have done a pass over every faction to try to get them, to try to get them all on par with each other. They didn't say anything about what that means, whether that's just like unit balancing, whether that's changing their actual whole faction mechanics, whether it's whatever. But yeah, I mean, it potentially could be changing their faction mechanics, and I think Marathi, giving Marathi some Slaanesh type things, maybe there's of the same level, maybe that's Sigvald's getting, or maybe a bit less, like, so like maybe if Marathi gets access to Slaanesh's demonic breed, so maybe Marathi can't just build Slaanesh demons straight away, but maybe she can get access to a landmark building that allows her to summon some limited demonettes, or maybe, you know what I mean? Like there could be some limited demonette access for units. Seductive influence. I'm not sure how much there is in the lore about Marathi like dominating other races. I get that she would probably be a bit of a seductress, and there's probably some like examples of her like mesmerizing male heroes and stuff like that. I don't know any specifics, but I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm not sure if there's stuff about her like seducing tribes of Norskins and stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't mean maybe. Isabella is Vlad's mount. Seductive influence without cults will be a bit weird. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, anyway, like I guess the short version of what I'm saying is they wouldn't give her exactly the same mechanics as Sigvald, but maybe they could give her something along the same level of Slaaneshiness or less than Sigvald. Excuse me. Kholek Suneater. Ancient dragon ogre now resides north of the mountains of Morn, keen to seek out a monolithic settlement for his own dark designs. So this is another one of these ones where it's like he's probably going to have some sort of migration mechanic, kind of like Belagar, where he's got to take over something, a monolithic settlement. There is actually a story of Marathi seducing a warlord of the Hmong and having him attack some Druki rival of hers. Oh, perfect, whomever. That's exactly what... Thank you for letting us know about that. So if that's true, then I think the likelihood of her having a seductive influence mechanic or something similar to that is a lot higher. Kholek might liven up Cathay and the ogres a bit, much needed. Yeah, I feel like Kholek kind of makes sense as an enemy for Cathay as well. Like he sort of just like you can imagine ginormous Kholek attacking the Bastion and stuff like that. I don't know. He just seems like Kholek just seems like a good enemy to have against Cathay. And apparently, somebody was saying that the ogres and the dragon ogres don't like each other much either. So, there could be some good matchups there as well. The ancient dragon ogre now resides north of the mountains of Morn. Yeah, there's nothing much to say about him. Just that's his start position, and he's gonna have to have some sort of mechanic where he migrates. Just come back to what we were saying before about demon access. I don't know. I'm guessing. Well, actually, that's another thing I was wondering about. So, I was saying how so it said back at the start that Be'lakor is going to have more. He's going to have the widest selection of chaos demons. So I guess I kind of assumed that Warriors of Chaos are going to be Chaos Undivided, so they'll have access to all of the different types of demons, but less of them than Be'lakor, obviously, because he has the widest selection, right? But maybe that's not how it is at all. Maybe they're all just totally different factions. Like, so Sigvald only has access to Slaanesh, right? Has access to Slaanesh's demonic breed. So this is basically it's saying has access to Slaanesh's demonic breed, as in compared to the baseline Warriors of Chaos, which don't have access to demons, so I guess what I'm saying is maybe the baseline Chaos Warrior template is the Chaos Warrior faction at base level don't really have access to Chaos demons, but then Sigvald has access to Slaanesh demons, and then Be'lakor has access to all demons, right? But then maybe Kholek doesn't have access to any demons. Doesn't mention anything about him having access to demons. Doesn't say he has the least amount of access to demons of anyone. It just doesn't mention it at all. So maybe like he's going to be more like the current Warriors of Chaos faction that just doesn't have any access to demons. Maybe the dragon ogres are the demons basically, and the Warriors of Chaos basically worship the dragon ogres if they're in that army, and he doesn't need demons. I'm not saying he definitely won't have like any demons, but like maybe he'll only have like extremely limited, like maybe only quest related. Maybe he'll only have like the Regiments of Renown or something, and not have any actual like recruitment of demons or something. But yeah, anyway, that's like I guess what I'm getting at here as well is like I'm wondering if the Chaos Warriors faction is going to be very different, like with the older factions, like with the old vampire counts, right, for example, right, like Von Carstein, like Vlad Isabella, Manfred, Gorst, and Kemmler, they're all basically exactly the same. Like they all have the same bloodlines mechanic, the same raised dead, same everything. There's nothing different about them in terms of mechanics, right? They all have exactly the same game mechanics. They just have little tweaks, like this one gets +5 to this one gets free skeletons, this one gets whatever, But there's no actual, mechanic that's different about any of them, Whereas, yeah, I'm thinking like, as we've gone on, like they've started adding in new mechanic, like like Belagar's kind of, well, this doesn't really have a new mechanic, he's just got some heroes, but makes him quite different, But Thorek, he's like a real upgrade on the other dwarfs. Like he's got a special mechanic with different aspects to that, So yeah, anyway, long story short, I'm wondering if the Warriors of Chaos are going to be very bespoke. Like each faction of each legendary Lord of Warriors of Chaos will actually be like really different from each other. Like instead of them all being like basically the same baseline template of Warriors of Chaos, which is like a little bit different, they're gonna all be like really different from the baseline template of Warriors of Chaos, maybe. I don't know, that'd be interesting to see anyway. Next week we'll be answering questions you asked last month in a special interview to developers. You don't want to miss it. We'll also be sharing details about another bit of coming content with Immortal Empires next week. I really want to know what another bit of content could be. I'm guessing, like, I feel like another bit, it makes it sound like it's just like another little thing. They don't want you to get too excited about it. And I feel like if it was going to be the Warriors of Chaos, the Warriors of Chaos update reveal, they would have said the Warriors of Chaos update reveal. You know what I mean? Like, because that would get everyone really hyped about it. Whereas just saying another bit of updating of, like I don't know. Or maybe they haven't decided yet. Maybe they don't know what it's going to be. They just know they're going to give you something. But yeah. Above, when talking about Be'lakor, they mentioned that Be'lakor has access to the most demons, implies the other factions get some demons at least. Well, yeah, that's what I thought initially, Monkey Man Fu. And like, I think like Archeon should definitely get access to all of the different Chaos Gods demons. Maybe not every single type of demon, but he should get access to all 4 demons, right? And it seems like from this that what do you call it? Sigvald only gets access to Slanesh demons, but yeah, I feel like that sort of things. It's basically this thing of saying has access to Slanesh's demons. It doesn't say only has access to Slanesh's demons. You know what I mean? So I feel like if the default thing for Chaos Warriors was to have access to all of the Chaos demons, then for Sigvald it would say and only has access to Slanesh's demons. Limiting it back down from all to some. Whereas it's saying he has access, as in normally Chaos Warriors don't have access, but Sigvald does. So I don't think that the most thing really necessarily stops them from having none. The most access to demons that Be'lakor gets is still more than none. So I don't think that necessarily means that Kholek couldn't have none. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he definitely doesn't have access to any demons, but I was just wondering if maybe he has none or very limited. Blood Pack scrapped because we all paid for it. Maybe talking about mid-game and end-game crisis. Oh man, I hope that they're talking about the mid-game and end-game crisis. I'm super into that idea. I think it's got so much potential. I think it's going to be amazing. Announcement of an announcement. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, the Chaos Warriors are going to get proper sized horses. I don't know if you guys missed that. We covered that a few days ago. But yeah, the Chaos ponies are out. Apparently, the Warriors of Chaos now have like ginormous big Chaos horses that are, appropriately impressive. It would suck if Archeon is the only one that remains the Horde faction and gets no changes at all. Oh yeah, man, imagine that. They're just like, oh yeah, Archeon's still going to be a Horde, and he's still going to have the same shitty mechanics from Warhammer 1. That would be like the worst thing. Might be cast as Beasts of Chaos. Oh, what, Kholek, you reckon? Maybe. No, he don't. No, he's not, because Bellicor's definitely going to be Warriors of Chaos because they said that Dragon Ogres are not actually demons. No, I know Dragon Ogres are not literally demons. I just meant that, like, I don't know, like if you saw Kholek, if Kholek Suneater was here right now, I'm pretty sure that you would worship him as a god. You know what I mean? He may not technically be a god or a demon, but he's fucking really big and he's been alive for like thousands of years. So as far as us puny humans are concerned, Dragon Ogres basically are gods.
There is so much to tell you.
No ponies anymore? Yeah, that's right. It's gonna be good. Yeah, Chaos Steeds are supposed to be pretty huge, I think. And Archeon's Durgar, what's Archeon's horse's name? Durgar or something? Archeon's horse in particular is supposed to be like the largest, meanest, and scariest of all, like the Chaos Steeds that ever lived, kind of thing, you know. So it's it's kind of Durgar, yeah. So it's kind of embarrassing that it's like a weird little pony type thing. Chaos is supposed to have dragons too. They do have dragons. You can get a Chaos Dragon mount for the sorcerers, I believe. I don't know if there's a Chaos. I don't think there's a Chaos Dragon monster though, but maybe they could bring them in. They're all pigeons to Grimgor, dude. Just a Manticore. Yeah, they've only got the Manticore as a monster, but there's a dual-headed dragon. It's a mount for, isn't it? It's a mount for the Chaos Sorcerers, isn't it? Oh no, I thought there was dual. I thought I'd seen two-headed dragons in the Chaos roster. I thought it was a hero mount or a lord mount. How they touch up Archeon's model? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't change the models, but you never know. But yeah, I'm really excited. Like along the way of throughout the development of Warhammer 2, like some of my favorite updates that have been the most impactful for me in terms of adding fun and content to the game have actually been like the free updates, you know, like when they did the Empire update that brought in the electric count mechanic, when they did the Dwarf update that brought in that's not just the one that brought in the items, when they did the second Dwarf update that brought in the rune magic and the craftable rune items, that like just totally fixed the dwarves. The dwarves went from being a faction that I wished was good to but sucked kind of a little bit, to being a faction, one of my favorite factions, you know. And the greenskins, I hated the greenskins. I literally never played them at all. Like I tried to play them like one time when Warhammer 1 came out, and that was like it. Never touched it again until like after the greenskin update that added like scrap upgrades and the better WoW mechanic and all that kind of stuff. And I actually now play. Still not one of my favorites, but I now actually play greenskins every now and again. I like a bit of a Skarsnik Gobbo campaign. You know, so anyway, long story short, the updates have been often like the best content for me. Like the free updates to the existing content has been some of the best content that's given me the most new stuff to play with. That it's interested me so far. Because a lot of the times when they bring out new factions, like their mechanics are kind of gamey and kind of whack, and they don't really they try to be a bit like creative with it and shit, but the creativity like moves it too far away from proper Total War for me, you know what I mean? And so I don't always necessarily like it that much. Whereas I feel like the updates, when they do the updates, they're normally like based on like player feedback, lots of testing. We've seen how it works in the game. We've seen what it needs. and those updates, you know, they often fix a need. Whereas the new factions that have, like, when they bring out, like, you know, like the 3rd or 4th faction that they're adding on, that new faction's going to have some like crazy shit, you know, like Oxyotl compared to the other Lizardman Lords, for example. It's probably actually a really bad example of what I'm talking about, but with Oxyotl, like, you know, he's got some just crazy shit that's totally different from any of the other Lizardman Lords. And that's, I don't mind it when it's a faction like Lizardmen that I don't really care about, but like if they did that with like Empire, like, you know, I might not like it as much, or with dwarfs or whatever. But yeah, quite often now. Sorry, I'm just going around in circles. I think it's time for me to go to bed. Basically, yeah, I'm just saying that like those free updates are some of the best content in my opinion, and this potential idea that they might have gone through and done a free update for like every single faction in the game to get them ready for Warhammer 3 is like crazy exciting. So I mean, I'd really like to see an example of like a couple of the factions that they've updated to see if it's actually anything significant that we're going to get excited about, or if it's just very minor and just tweaks and nothing really like that you could put a big banner on, you know. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining us for this massive, like, just talking about the update. Yeah, thanks, Spartan King. We'll definitely get onto that cheese as soon as possible. I'm actually not gonna do a gaming stream tonight. I was thinking about it, but yeah, I'm gonna actually just go back to bed and try and get some sleep before work. Got to start work in a couple of hours, so. But yeah, I just wanted to, I really like doing these read and discusses when there's some good information that comes out. You know, with the map position updates, I haven't really covered them much. I just briefly mention it during the gaming stream or whatever, but this one's like really exciting, you know. And I really like to it seems like it's good content. Like whenever I do one of these, like a lot of people turn up, get like a lot of people watching the streams, and lots of interaction from you guys, lots of comments and all that. So you guys seem to really love it. But also, like, I don't get early access to this stuff. Like I just woke up this morning and the news was here, you know. I haven't read this prior to now, you know. So I find it really good because it means that basically I can go over it myself, also have you guys like pointing out things to me and stuff, so it helps me kind of keep up to date with the news and what it all means and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's, hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's good for me as well. And yeah, I'll probably be back with some more gameplay, Warhammer 2 or Warhammer 3 gameplay tomorrow, and no doubt we'll still be talking about this tomorrow as well, because this was a pretty exciting information release. So many cool things. So I hope you guys had it as much, were as excited about it as I was. I might just chuck a host over to somebody else, Dame Offensive. She's hosting, she's doing a Grok campaign in Lustria right now. So yeah, if you want to go and check out some more, check out some Total War Warhammer 2 gameplay. Dame Offensive is playing, just click on that link. Dame Offensive is playing Skrulk, and I'm sure that they're talking about the update over there as well. So if you want to continue the conversation, just cruise on over there. But yeah, thanks a lot for all the support, guys. Thanks for all the super chats, very generous, those you guys, and thanks for all the comments. Like lots of interesting comments from you guys. Lots of stuff to talk to. I know I missed a lot of comments as well, so apologies if I missed anything important. But yeah. We'll be back tomorrow. Catch you guys then.